6 a.m. on this Friday, January 17th. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest takes, hottest takes, freshest
hottest insights, and
right?
fresh Friday, fresh Friday. I don't know. It's Friday.
Who knows? It is the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations. You're waking up in the greatest country in history. Let's get after it. We got a whole show planned for you, engaging discussions, critical analysis, most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. Just grab a cup of coffee, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up in just a little bit, Mike Kaufman, the mayor of Aurora, is going to be joining us because he and Tay Anderson got into it the other day. We'll play that audio for you in just a little bit. We're also going to talk with Don Day, 710 KNUS chief meteorologist, about the coming Arctic blast. And then, of course, we've got Mike Boyle previewing the Trump inauguration watch party. We've got Peter Boyles. He's going to preview his show. Jeff Hildebrandt, the 710 KNUS poet laureate, will be joining us as well. Plus, all the inauguration updates you need. In just a moment, John Decker, White House correspondent, is going to be joining us. On Monday afternoon, Donald Trump will be inaugurated as the 47th president of the United States. John Decker is going to give us a preview and update. Good morning, John. Thanks for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, morning.
Hey, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Happy Friday to you.
Yes, happy Friday.
And we got a big week coming up in Washington, D.C. We'll be broadcasting live from D.C. with all the inauguration activities. But, John, preview it for us a little bit. What do we expect to see on Monday?
Well, what we expect to see is the inauguration of Donald Trump. He'll be sworn in noon Eastern time. He'll become the 47th president of the United States. There will be a lot of people who have served in various capacities and continue to serve in very high-level capacities on that inaugural platform, including every former living president, as Donald Trump is sworn in. I'll be essentially a few feet from the inaugural platform broadcasting on Monday. It's going to be very cold. I know you're from Colorado, but prepare for some very cold temperatures on Monday. And on Sunday, we're going to have about 4 inches of snow, and it's cold enough that it will stick. So be prepared for that as well.
And it's a wet cold, too. It's a lot different than what we have here in Colorado, which is a dry cold. So, yeah, it's going to be – I heard this is going to be the coldest one since 1985.
Oh, I think it's going to – well, that's not correct. I think it's going to be the cold – well, actually, you are right. That's the second Reagan inauguration. You're absolutely right. So, coldest one in 40 years. So, I'm already getting ready for that. And I think others who are going to be out in the elements for as long as I'm going to be out there, at least 8 hours, I have to be prepared for that as well.
How are you dressing, John Decker? What are you doing in order to make sure that your little tootsies and fingies stay warm?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm going to have electric socks for one thing. I'm going to have hand warmers, feet warmers. I'll be layered up, and I think that should take care of it. I've got a hat if I need that as well. Got the earmuffs. So all prepared to be out there in the elements.
Now, in light of all this, John Decker, White House correspondent, would it likely shorten the duration of the inauguration, you think?
Well, no. I mean, everything is done according to a timetable, and there are entertainers that will be performing in the 11 a.m. Eastern time hour leading up to the swearing in. Will it be shortened in terms of the aftermath after Trump is sworn in? Probably everybody on that inaugural platform wants to get inside the Capitol as soon as possible. But there will be hundreds of thousands of people, certainly, that I'm expecting Monday, who will turn out to see Donald Trump being sworn in. And they have to contend with a lot of security. As you can imagine, this town is being locked down in the run-up to Inauguration Day on Monday.
We'll be watching for your reporting on that, and we'll be there as well. So lots of coverage on this. John Decker, White House correspondent, thanks so much for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
So, it's this is what I'm trying to wrestle between dressing for style or Just go straight
No.
ski gear.
Yeah, straight ski gear. No, warmth is more important than style at this point. That is 110% my recommendation because it doesn't matter how cool you look if you are freezing your tuchus off.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
And it's 22 in DC it's such a different cold.
It's a biting cold, is what I think, because the dry cold is different here in Colorado. Right. It's
you
just
throw
this
a
ambient
down
cold.
Jacket on, and you feel okay in Colorado.
The moisture goes through layers and has a tendency to penetrate in ways it shouldn't. And it's awful. I would go with. You got to do full ski gear. I do snow pants.
I should look like the guys from Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, hell yeah. Yes.
When they roll up and are just handing out the cash.
Yes. you and Mrs. Jeff should go like that. It's like a matching outfit theme thing. And see if how many people get that. That would be fantastic. You guys could go viral. That would be amazing.
I think so. Somebody should do it. It won't be us. But
so what do you think as far as planning? What's the balance for you right now? Before we get to Blake's news, what's the balance for the warmth versus the style?
Yeah, well, I'm probably, because my ski gear is very bright.
I'm a man.
The thing
I would not have guessed that.
I was with kids, and you want kids to see you easily on the ski slope. So my ski gear is like bright blue. Hey, like I am going to stand out like a.
But why not? You'd be in all the pictures. It'd be the easiest thing to do in any one of those large shots. You'd be like, there's Dad. Your kids would be so happy. You could have that framed and put up there. That would be wonderful.
That's exactly right.
Oh, if I had thought far enough ahead, and if I knew that Mrs. Jeff would go ahead and pull this off, my mom has a hat that she used to wear skiing in the 70s. This is like 60s and 70s. I think she stopped wearing it right around the 80s is the last time I remember seeing her ski with it. But it is a fur hat that looks like a big fur ball. I think it's made from fox fur on the head. It is gorgeous, but you look like it's got a giant fox on top of your head. It's just this big furry mess. It's really warm though. Yeah, my mom rocked that in the 70s.
My parents were offering us some fur. Now, we were at the inauguration 8 years ago, and you got to walk by a lot of protesters.
Oh,
and my wife's like, they're going to throw stuff at us.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't.
They're
again,
progressive.
Another argument for the ski gear.
Fur people.
The ski gear, another argument.
Right.
That washes and cleans real easily. I'm just saying.
So I think that's probably what I'll be doing. And then, but we've got some fun balls. We're going to the Best of the West ball.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
So that is all the Western states put together. They collectively put together balls. So a lot of bigger states will have their own balls. Texas has a huge one, for instance.
Jeff just said that other states have big balls. Okay, sorry. I just had to point out that this morning. Okay, yeah, go ahead. One time you can get in trouble, not me.
And then all the Western states combined for the Best of the West. So we're going to attend that one. We've got friends hosting salon dinners in there. So we're looking forward to a really fun weekend out there with friends and family.
I'm so excited for you. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
This is going to be awesome.
And then, of course, coverage. So we were testing the technology yesterday. We're going to be providing live coverage from the inauguration. I'll be walking around interviewing people there. So that'll be really cool. And then
because Monday it's John Caldera and I are hanging out doing this, and so he and I will be doing the tag team on the show. John is not a replacement for Jeff; he's just going to fill in and tread water for the day. And Jeff's going to join us probably once an hour, just to give us the flavor of where it is. Even if he's just standing in line and going, "Wow, traffic sucks." We just want to have that experience that you are going to be able to travel to the inauguration that frigid cold morning with Jeff Hunt and his lovely talented wife.
So I got to tell you what happened with the last inauguration and how we got all the way up to the very front.
Yeah.
Okay. So
you rushed the stage?
Yeah, not that way. So I was taking with us the president of Colorado Christian University at the time, Dr. Don Sweeting, his spouse, mine. We all flew out to be part of it.
What a good guy, too.
And we got tickets. Yep, absolutely. Don Sweeting, great guy. And we got tickets and we're part of all the activities out there. And it's history. And he's, I think he has his PhD in history. So anyways, he loves this stuff.
Yeah.
So the only hotel we could find that was reasonable was way outside the city, like an hour outside the city.
Oh, wow. I've done that for concerts. I understand. I feel you.
So we want to be reasonable and in what we're spending. So we stay way out there. And then we're thinking, all right, to get in, we got to get up super early and we're going to take an Uber to get to the metro because we don't want to drive into the city. That's going to be crazy. So then we'll take the metro all the way in. So we had this all planned out.
And you're also familiar with DC. So the idea of going and taking the metro, you're already comfortable with that. This is not like someone here from Colorado that's never been there. It's like, oh, maybe we can do the metro. I hope we can do this, and having to navigate it. You already know the lay of the land. Okay, sorry. Continue.
So we order an Uber, and it pops up. We didn't plan this. It pops up as a black SUV.
Oh.
So we're like, sweet, man, let's get in this. So we start driving on the highway. And as we're driving, we notice there's this parade of like 3 big buses, all with police escorts.
Oh.
And we're like, what? This must be like the VIP delegates or security or something. Somebody special is heading into DC this way. So I say to the Uber driver, I'm like, can we change? Why don't you just get in line?
Oh, yeah.
We're in a black SUV.
Smart.
Why don't you just get in line? You don't have sirens or anything. But just get behind everybody. We're not going to just get behind everybody. Just see what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Just see how close we can get.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Dude, we drove right on up to the inauguration, got out. Now we were there super early because we weren't expecting it.
But still.
But we had drove by like security, like blockades and all that. We just went right by.
Oh my God, that is fantastic. That is great.
And the Uber driver was cool enough to be like, all right, I'll try it.
Let's do this.
Let's just see how far we can get with this.
Oh, huge tip for the Uber driver. I love that one. I may or may not have in my past used some of my Colorado press passes in many the same way. To get through security and through things into places I never should have been. Let's just see if this works. So let's just see if this little thing I have in my wallet works to get through this security line and get me somewhere I'm not supposed to be. So yeah, I get you. I have much respect. That is fantastic. That is great, man.
It probably won't happen, but you never know. It's always fun. There's lots of it's crazy. It's absolute crazy. And then the thing that always catches me when you attend these is the big cannons that go off. The minute he says he does the swearing in. Yeah. Like the second it finishes, boom, the big cannons shoot off and everyone jumps and startles. It's wild.
Oh, that's great.
Well, we need to get to the news. Let's check in on news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Good morning. Wear the blue ski suit. That'll be best. Nice and bright. And we can all see you then.
Yeah. And we need to get him some of those Hunter orange big mittens. You can wear as well, so it's like blue and orange. It's a Broncos thing. Oh, you know, now TV, Blake, you know TV a lot. If you're watching TV, there's a guy on the football field that's called Orange Mittens. And it's a dude that has big, giant orange mittens that go up to his elbows. Right. He's talking to the TV truck. He tells the refs on the field when it's time for a timeout. That's what his communication is. And you can watch him based on the arm gestures that he makes. He's communicating with the ref when you're taking the next TV timeout. So if you watch Orange Mittens, you know when it's time, if you're in the stadium, to get up and go to the bathroom. Because
I have 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Exactly.
I have know that.
Yeah, it's called Red Hat or
but they can't just in their ear. Don't all the referees have like little communication devices in their ear?
Yeah, but here's what happens. It gets loud, and if you have a big orange guy or a big red guy with a digital clock on the field, and he is standing on that field, the officials know they can't do anything. They can't play. And it's all about TV. It's a TV show, and nothing will happen. That ball will not be snapped until the red hat is off the field.
Yeah, will not happen. And because the guy with the hat and the mittens, he has communication with the TV truck where the refs have communication with the booth. And so it's a different line of communication. They don't necessarily want the TV talking to the referee. That's a weird set of communication because they're talking about, we're going to the shot. We're going to be the shot. We're going to be doing this for 2 minutes. We're going to pull wide here. Here's where we're going to set up. We're going to set up this interview here. Okay, coach is coming back here. You're getting all that chatter in your ear. And then Orange Mittens is like, and they're like, okay, set it up. We're going to break here after this play. Make sure. And then he goes up and waves his hands. And normally it's a big X above his head is what he does.
The last thing officials are going to listen to are TV people. So all they want to see, hey, look, just stay on the field. Okay, when the commercial's over, when the camera's open and it's on, then get the hell off the field. Yeah. And here we go. So that is your key when you're at the stadium.
That is.
For the bathroom breaks.
Yes.
34 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 44 today. Our top story, negotiators for Israel and Hamas have reportedly signed a ceasefire and hostage deal. Multiple outlets say the deal was signed today in Qatar by officials from Israel, Hamas, the U.S., and Qatari officials. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu released a statement saying the families of the hostages were informed a short time ago of the agreements. Make no mistake about it, the terrorists heard DJT loud and clear.
If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
Wait till your father gets, until your father gets, wait till your father gets home. See what I mean?
Daddy's home. Wait till your father gets home. I don't know if anyone remembers that kind of.
I love that. That is great.
Thanks, man. You need to watch that show, by the way. I think it's in the early 70s.
I have no idea what show that was, but the audio is spot on.
It's a cartoon, and if you watch it, you're kind of like, wait a minute. Things haven't changed that much. I think you'd enjoy it. Wait till your father gets home from the 70s, a cartoon. Hey, it all happens Monday.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States.
And as you heard John Decker a few minutes ago, security is high, the highest it's ever been in D.C., getting ready for the inauguration that Jeff and his lovely wife will attend on Monday, and you can hear it here on KNUS. Denver firefighters have reportedly lost confidence in their chief and deputy chief. Members of the Denver Firefighters Union voted on a no confidence resolution for Chief Desmond Fulton and Deputy Chief Kathleen Renberg. Union leaders say they are upset that the top commanders in the fire department were not punished for misusing comp time rules and getting paid extra at the end of each year. KCNC reporting yesterday that the resolution was approved, which will lead to a vote by even more firefighters in the next 30 days. Fire crews in Southern California have been able to make more progress as winds in the region have eased up. At least 27 people have been confirmed dead from the fires, and more than 170,000 people are under evacuation orders. President Biden on Messy NBC Thursday, and he says the Republican-led states did a poor job in handling their economies during the pandemic. I wonder why. Maybe they shut down everything, and the Democrats could have done a better job at selling their accomplishments to the voters. Okay, what accomplishments exactly? All right, this guy. Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary nominee, questioned by Bernie Sanders on Thursday.
What Biden said last night is we're moving toward an oligarchy. I'm asking you that question. Do you think, forget how they made their money, do you think that when so few people have so much wealth and so much economic and political power, that is an oligarchic form of society?
Well, I would note that President Biden gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to two people who I think would qualify for his oligarchs.
George Soros, obviously one of those, and almost all those guys are oligarchs.
Tim Dill.
Yeah, Tim
the other one.
Right.
Like Colorado,
Give
we
me
live
a
under
break.
this stuff right
Yes.
now. My favorite was Kyle Clark going, we need to ask the American people what it's like to live under an oligarchy where billionaires make decisions. And then I pointed out that Tigna, the company that owns Channel 9, is worth $2.3 billion or something like
absolutely.
that. So I think news is provided by billionaires.
Yeah, and I think our governor has a nice big
400 million.
Big giant
our governor.
Vault of money.
Yeah,
So,
he's rolling in cash.
Yeah,
Does it?
Yeah, and
only-
then we have previous governors too who had a lot of money. Hickenlooper.
Yes.
I don't know. It's very strange, very weird. I don't know how that
Did you
happens.
guys see that
Weird how that
Hickenlooper
happened.
may support Chris Wright?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
That'd be kinda cool.
That would
Okay.
be kind of
No,
cool.
that would be
I
kinda
was
cool.
getting ready to bash Hickenlooper on X, and then I saw that. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
well,
for
I
me,
wanna
smart
see
on his-
it.
yeah. And again, my critique of Chris Wright is I'm curious about his approach to green. I don't think he's necessarily. I think his filter for it is is necessarily off center. I don't think he's looking at some of the advantages that green energy could have, but I think that he's spot on in many of his critiques of what has gone on with the oil and gas industry. So I've got a lot of high hopes as far as what he has the ability to do. I'd like to see him inside the administration. I think it'd be cool.
Love it.
Run.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Let's tear down the windmills, though. Here's how you know you're getting to the core. Hitting the nerve. Dick Durbin, oh yeah, Democrat, Illinois, Pam Bondi confirmation hearing talking about Kash Patel.
But he also has said and done some things which are impossible to understand and justify. For example, are you familiar with something called the QAnon conspiracy?
I have heard of it, but I do not know what it is, but I've heard of it many times, Senator.
So let me tell you what I've learned about it. Its core belief is that a cabal of satanic, cannibalistic child molesters are embedded within our government and are conspiring against President-elect Trump. They asked Mr. Patel about it, and he said, quote, "I agree with a lot that the movement says," end of quote. Does that sound like a good preparation to run the FBI?
Yes, better than school boards going after grandmothers.
Right.
Yes, it does. Hey, let's take a look at what's happening, right, Jeff? You know, what's he afraid of?
Well, out of
See
that
what's going on in
description,
UK.
The only one I struggle with is cannibalistic, but satanic. I mean, they've all rejected.
Yes.
They've all rejected God. They mock you if you're a Christian. They, keep the 10 Commandments away. All that stuff. You have the Jeffrey Epstein list. You have the Diddy list. I mean, it seems like there's a component out there that is abusing children. You have these
everything
reports
that's going on
from,
in UK.
Yeah, exactly. Coming from and how they ignored it for political reasons or all that. So I said to listen to that description. I'm like, okay, I don't know about the cannibalistic, but
dude, if it's Satan, it's the devil. I believe almost anything now. I mean, until it's proven. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean,
what?
Who knows?
Question though: why is the apparent absence of religion proof positive of Satanism? Why is that the conclusion?
Well, when the absence of God
is hostility. It's not just
darkness.
absence; it's hostility towards God.
But the absence of you guys weren't talking about necessarily the hostility. They don't want to have things displayed in public because they may not ascribe to or believe that's appropriate for the religion. That's different than Satanism. I'm just curious why both of you said because they weren't the type of Christian that we were looking for. The obvious other choice then is Satanism. That's a weird choice for me to make because you could say the same thing. Someone that would follow the Islamic religion. They wouldn't make the same choice that Christians would, but they're not Satanists. Same thing with Buddhists or Hindus. Someone that is agnostic wouldn't make the same choices, but does make them Satanists. And that's the problem I have with QAnon theory. It's an assumption of Satanism, and it's wrong.
If you're a Christian, Islam is not just like another religion. It is anti-Christ.
Yeah.
In what ways?
Because it's not Christianity. I mean,
but
like
they acknowledge him
you're
as a prophet,
operating in the space that
but they acknowledge him as a prophet.
Being a Christian and just allowing other people to have beliefs, it's just another religion.
Okay, so then are our Jewish brothers and sisters Satanists because they don't believe in Christ either? That would be your qualification. So now Israel is a Satanist state?
No, I don't.
Well,
but I think there's deception that takes place there.
But how come
there's absolutely deception?
But how come Jews get a pass? But
because they're so the way the Bible works is the Jews are the chosen people of God. Okay. We are grafted as Gentiles into that relationship that the Jews have with God through the work of Jesus Christ. Okay. We're like brothers.
Does it matter?
Okay?
Does it matter that other people's religious teachings teach them something different?
Of course.
Okay.
But if
then
you're
why,
a Christian,
why is the assumption Satanism? Why is the assumption then of the other religion Satanism?
Well, you're putting it in the category of Satanism as if it's a belief that is fully embraced by, like following all the teachings of Satan. What I'm talking about is there's deception in this world.
But that's
right?
different. That's different than satanic.
No, that's exactly what the snake did in the Garden of Eden. That is deception is satanic.
Not necessarily, not on its face. No, it's
100%. That's the very first 2 chapters of the Bible.
But then couldn't you have the other religions turn around and say that the deception happens inside the Christian religion and that's Satanism as well?
Well, they could, but there is
Okay.
one truth. There's one truth to this. And everything else that is not one truth has been influenced and is deceived by Satan.
And so
100%.
our Jewish friends are then Satanists.
There's deception there. If they miss Christ, if they miss Jesus, dude, this is all throughout Romans. This is Paul dealing with this early on in the church.
But even then, the first 2 books of the Bible, they're an allegory. I understand the idea.
No, not an allegory.
Oh, yeah, they
True.
are.
No, that's actually happened. 100%.
No, the Genesis can't happen because the order of days is out.
It's not.
Yeah, you can't have day until you have the sun. That's how we define day. We don't have a time frame until you have the sun. And you don't have that at the beginning. We can't have days occur. We don't have a time frame at that point.
You can absolutely be a literalist on the 7-day creation of the Bible.
No, it doesn't work because you can't have a day until you have the revolving earth around the sun. That's how we define a day. How do you define what a day is at that point? There's no time frame. That's a problem.
No, God
Yes, it's an
defined it
allegory.
as a day. No, I disagree. That's an allegory.
That's an allegory.
All right, Blake.
Yeah, let's go back to news.
Okay.
I just disagree with the idea that the assumption
No,
is
I hear
Satanism. When it's the absence of religion, it's not the assumption of Satanism. I disagree with that. And I think that our Jewish, our Islamic, our Hindu and Buddhist brothers and sisters would disagree with that as well.
But Bill, do you think there's one truth in this world? He's answering phone.
Sorry, it was the phone.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I believe
no,
there
yeah.
is immutable truth. I think it's different when you're saying one truth because I believe one truth, you're dividing it and pulling it into a religion. I believe there is immutable truth.
Do you think there's one God?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
is that person Jesus Christ?
In some ways, yes, because again, Jesus was also the Son of God, but also God at the same time. It was the same thing.
Right, the
It's
Trinity.
the Holy Trinity.
The Father,
Yeah, yes.
Son, Holy Spirit.
Yeah,
But
they
then
can all be the same thing,
Muhammad
but
is
different.
Muhammad is not a prophet of God.
I would say that that to me is sketchy because of what I think is I believe that Muhammad can be a prophet of God. But what I disagree with is the idea that the words came directly from the mouth of God through his hand. I believe that humans are flawed, and I don't believe that we can properly interpret many times how God can speak to you or work through you, because God is mysterious, and he doesn't always make what his plans are open to you immediately. And so them saying that this is the word of God and it's the final word, I disagree with their premise there. They would disagree with me on their platform for the religion, but I believe he was influenced. I believe that he has some things to teach us because of the influence of God. But is it the final word, and did he transcribe stuff that came directly from God? I don't share that belief personally.
And do you believe that there is a satanic figure that is deceiving people and driving them to hell?
That one is a little more difficult because I believe that humans, because of original sin, we are flawed. I'm not certain that we need that influence. I believe we're already there, that we are already there at deception, that we are already there at cunning, that we are already there. That is extant inside of us. And that's because of the failure, and it's because of the original sin. I don't think we need anybody else to guide us. Do I believe there is a Satan figure? Yes, because I believe in the angels and I believe in the fall.
Right.
But again, he was God's favorite as well. So there's a lesson to be found inside of that as well for me.
I don't know if there's God's favorite. I don't think that's in the Bible.
There's some teachings and stuff to talk about it, that he was one of the,
I know he was an angel and he was
Yeah.
part, but I don't think he was God's
No.
favorite. I think there's other angels. Wow. All right. Theological.
I know, this is fun.
Debate.
I'll finish it out by saying, then I'll let you guys have it. But without God, there's a big hole, big void, and it invites the devil in. I think Satan is hard at work in DC. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills. Locally owned and operated since 1954. Online at Lair Fireplace and Patio. Man, I'm really bummed out. The great Bob Uecker, Mr. Baseball, passed away at the age of 90. God, I love this dude.
Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed. Ball 4. Ball 8.
He was the greatest, man. Bob Uecker.
I love him in that movie. The
Major
Indians
League,
did it.
yep.
The Indians did
Yeah.
it. Oh my God.
He
The Indians
did. He
did
was
it.
so talented. He was so talented. Hey, and since you're talking about the Trinity, I got to play this. Here's Uecker at the Hall of Fame.
On the way home, my mother was with child, me, and the pain started, and my dad pulled off into an exit area, and that's where the event took place. I remember it was a nativity type setting. An exit light shining down. There were 3 truck drivers there. One guy was carrying butter.
Nice, awesome. 31 in Littleton, 30 in Brighton, 33 in Denver. Let's see, TGIF. Yes, it's Friday. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson News Talk 710 KNUS.
Good morning, Denver. Your 710 5-day forecast. Going to start off with some sunshine and brisk winds. Midday temps will hit the mid-40s, then stay steady and fall this afternoon as an Arctic front arrives. Plummeting temperatures tonight. Snow showers developing late with moderate snow overnight into the day Saturday. Winter weather advisory in effect through 5 p.m. Saturday. Highs on the weekend will be in the low to mid-teens with lows falling to 0 to 5 below. Scattered snow showers ending with drier conditions Sunday. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
At this hour, I'm Christina Aguayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. A Pulitzer Prize-winning political cartoonist known for his work with the Washington Post has been arrested on child porn charges. Darren Bell, who is also known for bashing President Donald Trump, has been published by the New Yorker and the Los Angeles Times as well. The 49-year-old married father of 4 was busted this week after law enforcement received a tip. After searching Bell's home, detectives found 134 videos of child pornography linked to an account owned and controlled by Bell. They also found computer-generated artificial intelligence child pornography, according to authorities. Quickly making its round on social media, a questionable cartoon that Bell created and posted back in 2022 titled The Groomer. It shows an elephant-like person flashing a group of children in front of a mirrored storefront with the word bigotry tattooed on the subject's chest. The Northern California resident was issued a $1 million bond. Rudy Giuliani has settled with 2 Georgia election workers in a deal that they say let him keep his homes and personal belongings in return for compensation and a promise to never defame them. The deal came after the women were awarded a $148 million judgment against Giuliani. He had been scheduled to testify in a Manhattan federal court to decide whether he would have to give up his personal assets to the women, but Giuliani did not appear for the hearing. That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Aguayo, Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill. Oh, Janet texted in. That's why we love you guys. Billy and I kicking off the 6 a.m. Friday hour with a theological debate.
Dude, nobody else in town's going to do that.
No.
That's the fun part about it. And the thing is that we share the same faith, but we don't approach it from the same direction, which is really unique inside of the conversations because we have this shared belief system. But while you are certain of some things, boy, do I got a lot of questions. So it's so much fun. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the quality and in-depth of the conversation that you're able to provide. Because there's some things about this that you know much, much more than I do. And it's wonderful to be able to
Billy,
pick your brain.
Willing to push in places that other people aren't. So I
surprise.
love it. Yeah.
And you are right about the thing about the Bible. I believe I'm going through my brain and I can't pull that thing out of it. So I think that's something else done in literature about it being the thing. Yeah, I know he was one of the most beautiful. I know he's in that grouping, but I don't know. And I can't run through the Bible. Because again, a lot of the Bible. I can't pull that out. So I think I'm wrong about that one. I think that's elsewhere in literature. And that would not necessarily be, the example I gave. But it's fun.
Well, coming up on Saturday morning from 9 to 1, always is a fan favorite, huge downloads on the podcast. He's legendary. And to give us some insight, what is he going to talk about on Saturday? Peter Boyles. Good morning, Pete.
Morning.
Hey, guys. Hey, good morning to both. It's like waking up with your family when you were a young kid.
Yes.
Listening to you two guys. It was like, your dad and your brother got in an argument about something, and okay, I want to listen to this.
What are they arguing about now? Yes, exactly. Oh, well, hey, my friend, what's going on Saturday? What do you got planned for the show?
Well, Coach McCartney passed away, and with a little fanfare. But CJ, Charles Johnson, who I think both you guys know, that was his QB, and what an incredible man. And so we're going to do a tribute. And plus, when I got CJ there, I'm going to ask him about Coach Prime. Is he going to go work in Jerryland? What do you guys think about that? You think Prime leaves?
Yeah, I think he does too. I love what he did at CU. It was exciting from my perspective. The values and the faith that he brought, and all those progressives couldn't do anything about it. I found that to be fantastic. He is a unicorn. He's a 1 in a million type of guy. But there's a bigger stage than just the University of Colorado, and that's the Dallas Cowboys.
Jerry put some money up. Let's see what happens. So I'll talk to him about that. There's a Palestinian woman that we've had on and off the show with us for a number of years. A quick drop with her and see what she thinks. Now, of course, this morning they approved the ceasefire. We'll see what happens. What's the overs and unders on? And I don't want to be a wise guy, sound like a wise guy, but how long does that ceasefire hold? I'd be amazed if it. But then the primary question of the morning is, what do you expect now that Donald Trump will be the president? What do you expect to see happen? What do you expect to see the country do, the world do? And I'm one of the people that believes that Donald Trump had a lot to do with the ending of the war in Gaza. But one thing to remember, history is so repetitive. If you remember when Ayatollah held hostages, American hostages, and this was Carter, the moment that Ronald Reagan was sworn in, what did Ayatollah do?
You let him go.
Let him go.
Yeah. And then Jimmy goes and meets him at the airport. I always thought that was ironic, that the moment that Reagan is inaugurated, Carter's then the one that meets him at the airport. That's just a weird twist in history. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was, but the similarities here are, at least they're palatable, and thinking that did the mullahs look out the door and see Trump coming? And then do you think the next one will be Ukraine's going to be a little smaller, but there will not be any NATO missiles, and that man can step in the middle of that too. So we have a lot to talk about. I mean, this is talk radio heaven. Now, Jeff, you guys are going to be with me tomorrow morning too, right?
That's right. We'll be calling in to preview our inauguration day coverage. Yeah. I'm going to be out in Washington, D.C. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll be live at the inauguration Monday, checking in. Caldera's going to be here with Billy on Monday. And then Tuesday and Wednesday broadcasting from the Heritage Foundation in Washington.
All right.
DC.
Yeah.
So that'll be a lot of fun.
Do you have tickets to any of the inaugural balls?
This has been the hardest thing to find. So we went 8 years ago and they were relatively easy. I think they've really reserved those tickets to the high priced donors this year. So my wife and I do not fall in that category. So we'll see. But there's these state balls. There's what's called the Best of the West, which is Saturday night, and that's all the Western states, so Wyoming, Montana, Oregon, Washington. They all get together. So we'll be at some of these state baseballs, but the fancy ones, I think you got to be at the Elon Vivek level to be at those this year.
Yeah. And I'm stuck back here because evidently in Washington, D.C., I'm still considered a person of interest for several things, so I can't travel there.
When George W. was sworn in, we went back and did the show live back there, and I went to an inaugural ball, and you're not missing anything, Jeff. It's like, I mean, it's huge, and a bunch of people in black tie, and and then President Bush came out on the stage, said a few words, and then he danced with Laura Bush, and then they left.
Yeah, and then they go to the other two balls. And they got to attend that.
Yeah.
Now, Pete, I got to ask you this.
Sure.
I got to ask you the level of disappointment you think people may run into with Trump. Because I put up a poll, and we talked about this on our show. How many people does Donald Trump have to deport in order to be successful in his mass deportations? And a vast majority, like 90%, expected 20 million deportations.
Mm-hmm.
Now that would... If he got to 4 million, that would be such a record above anything any other president. But I think Trump supporters are expecting 20 million. If he can't deliver 20 million, if he can't deliver major cuts in the federal government, those types of things, because he's not going back to our earlier conversation, he's not our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He can't do it all. So, are people going to give him a little bit of leeway, or are they going to have high demands?
I wrote a column that came out last month. It's called The First 100 Days. And historians talk about the first 100 days. And allegedly, the media leaves the executive alone for 100 days, which you and I both know, all three of us know, that's not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of expectation with Ronald Reagan, like it was with Ronald Reagan, and it's easy to say, it's hard to do. I expect that the people that don't like him will be on him like a cheap suit because he hasn't completed. And I think realists like yourself, you're going to have to say, well, look. The realistic view of that was, and what you just expressed, you're not going to get 40 million or 20 million people. It isn't going to happen. But if you start in that direction and you do what's called weed and seed, I suspect he'll have an impact.
I'm with Peter Boyles. He leads the Peter Boyles Show from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 710 KNUS on Saturdays, giving us a preview of what he's going to talk about. Pete, you have some of the biggest downloads. Everybody loves your podcast. They can listen to it at 710knus.com. And looking forward to hearing what you're going to be covering this Saturday, Pete.
Yeah, and then of course, what do you guys think is going to happen on the street? On inauguration, do you think that there's going to be flare-ups like we witnessed, or is it going to go smooth as silk?
I personally think it's going to be much smoother post January 6th, because I think they're going to lock things down a lot more. I know Reverend Al Sharpton has got a rally planned on the other side of the city. I'm curious to see how many people show up. And the reason I'm curious is... I
love to go to those things.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because remember last time Trump was inaugurated, all the liberals got together and they knit cute little hats.
Yeah,
and they
the
did
women's
marches
march,
like
and
every
then
weekend.
Madonna threatened to
it's like every weekend there's a huge march. And so I'm curious to see what that is going to be, because I don't hear or see as much anger and vitriol. I see more resignation and depression from the libs. So I'm curious to see how that focuses and how that bubbles up.
Well, their party is in total disarray right now. They have no, and they have no plans. They have no project. If they're to start running around in circles. I think they should go get themselves a couple of big hotel rooms and come and say, okay, now what do we do?
Yeah, they're lost in the forest because everything they thought was true and everything they thought everyone else agreed with them on was turned out to be false. And so now everything they believed has been pulled back, and they've seen the man behind the curtain. You're like, wait, there is no wizard. And so they don't know what to do. Yeah. And especially with the Kamala Harris, because with her, the idea was it was a movie. Well, of course, in any Hollywood movie, she comes up, she's ascendant, she's multicultural. She's going to, vanquish the evil guy that's about to tear down the country. And the perfect ending for the movie was for her to win. And when that didn't happen for the liberals, it broke their brain. They don't know what happens and how this goes forward.
Well, they all thought, and it's a huge mistake historically, they thought that everyone else thought like they did.
Yes.
That's right.
Huge
Peter
mistake.
Boyles with the Peter Boyles Show, Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. right here on 710 KNUS. You can download the podcast, 710knus.com. We'll be looking forward to that. Pete, thanks so much for joining the show.
Yeah,
Talk
thanks.
to you Saturday, man.
Talk to you
Thanks,
Saturday.
Billy.
Have a good morning. Take care.
All right, you choose the news coming up. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. Hey, look, you're already here.
I was going to say, I recognize those voices.
Wow. That's weird. That's weird.
All right.
Computer doesn't listen to me all the time. That's okay.
Let's give the people what they really want on a Friday. Another theological debate.
Yes, it is. It's the time that Jeff and I are going to talk about the origins of... No. You know what today is. It is the day in which we talk about the losers. It is a loser edition of You Choose the News.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Loser!
Let's go. Loser! You're a loser!
It's a losers club. Bunch of losers.
You're such a loser. You made me feel like a loser!
She's a loser.
You are such a loser.
Loser.
Yes, it is a time when we bring back those stories that both Jeff and Blake did not deem worthy of our attention earlier this week for a second shot at glory. Yeah, this is You Choose the News, America's favorite fake radio news game show, where we have scoured the interwebs for fake stories, well, real stories about us, and then give them fake headlines to play this fake radio news game show because nobody in charge has any idea we are this irresponsible with our valuable airtime this early in the morning. They don't wake up until 7, so we know when the alarms sound. So when left to our own devices, this is what happens. All righty. Blake Olson in the newsroom, Jeff Hunt in the studio. Here are your choices, gentlemen. Please explain the meaning of the original sin. No, I'm kidding. Sorry. Headline is, that'll teach him. Headline number 2, to protect and deliver. Headline number 3, Plow King approved. And headline number 4, if you like this, I can get you the really good stuff. Your choice, Mr. Hunt.
I'm going with Plow King approved.
Plow King approved. We are traveling to Manchester, New Hampshire. This is somewhat appropriate given the Arctic conditions that are headed our way. New Hampshire Department of Transportation this week has announced the winners of their Name a Plow contest. One of my favorite contests that is held on the internet. Anytime you get to name anything, I'm all in.
It's so old that it's always Plowy McPlowface.
Yeah, well, actually, this one, the top name selected this year is Control Salt Delete. That's pretty good. Yes. They also have Tommy D. Plowa is going to be one of them. Also, Live Free in Plow is going to be chosen. And Adam Sandler. So also 6 Snow 3 and the Big Leplowski. All of those names are going to be proudly on the side of Manchester Department of Transportation plows.
No one
this
went
season.
with the Plow King.
No one did, which I was surprised. And so
I'm surprised Plowy McPlowface.
Exactly. I was going to go with that one too. All right, Blake Olson, the news department, sir. Your choice. That'll teach him to protect and deliver, or if you like this, I can get you the really good stuff.
That'll teach him.
Yeah, that'll teach him. South Korea's suspended president Yoon Suk-yeol will receive his annual pay raise, despite the fact that he was impeached for briefly placing the country under martial law. Yes, they are trying to remove him from office, but he will also receive his yearly salary increase, cost of living 3%. Yes, so he's going to get 262.6 million won, which is about $179,000. It's good to know that even though you are under investigation and possibly removed from office, you still get a raise.
Yeah,
yes.
What a deal.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's stupid. All right. Jeff,
got that right.
Yeah. Your final choice this morning, sir, to protect and deliver, or if you like this, I can get you some really good stuff.
Let's go to protect and deliver.
Yeah, if you want to protect and deliver, Mount Juliet, Tennessee is where we find ourselves. The Mount Juliet Police Department delivered a pizza recently. Seems a little out of sorts, but that's after they figured out the pizza delivery man was wanted for failure to appear on illegal drug charges. See, they were driving around and their automatic license plate scanner thing scanned the car in front of them. Dude has an open warrant. They pull him over. They're arresting him, but he's a 34-year-old that's making money delivering pizzas. Our men and women in blue, they cannot let that pizza go undelivered. So they promptly asked what the address was. While they're arresting him, another officer arrives, grabs the pizza, and delivers it to its final destination. Yes, isn't that appropriate? Isn't that fantastic? Now, we will just give you a bonus story because I have to bring this one up. If you like this, I can get you the really good stuff. This is crazy. A Japanese crime boss has pleaded guilty to conspiring to sell nuclear material to Iran, along with drug trafficking and weapons offenses. The 60-year-old member of the Yakuza entered a guilty plea to 6 counts in federal court a couple of weeks ago in Manhattan. He pled guilty in the United States of America. According to prosecutors, in 2020, he told an undercover agent for the Drug Enforcement Agency, "Man, I can get you some thorium and uranium from Myanmar, and it's not going to cost you too much. And hey, I'll throw in some guns and drugs just to make the deal sweeter. And if you like this, I can get you the good stuff, the plutonium." Yes, the Yakuza wanted to traffic nuclear fissionable materials into Iran and offered them plutonium if the deal went well.
Great.
I just think that Ratcliffe, Trump's CIA pick, should
Yeah.
just bombard Iran with those types of robocalls.
Yes.
Press 1 for uranium.
That's fantastic. Oh, that is good one. Nicely done. 2 if you want to launch a missile. Yeah, that's it. That's it. You choose the news.
You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader. This is 710 KNUS.
It is 7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Friday, January 17th. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. He's on the line. Mayor Mike Kaufman of Aurora is joining us. There has been a little bit of a dust-up between him and the name Tay Anderson. Listen to this. This happened the other day.
Turn me around. Austin Law. Austin Law. Say his name. Say his name. Turn me around. You killed him. Out of his face. Who the do you think you are? Is that the council? I'm gonna let go council. Turn me around. Turn me around. Turn me around, ain't gonna let go council. Turn me around, gonna keep on. You killed him. You killed him. You killed that young black man. You killed him. You killed him. Ain't gonna let go near. Turn me around. You. You ain't gonna let no man. Turn me around.
That's Mayor Mike Kaufman of Aurora and Tay Anderson of the former Denver School Board.
Now, you know, the first rule of City Council Fight Club is not to tell anybody about City Council Fight Club.
Right. Joining us now on the line is the mayor of Aurora, Mike Kaufman. Thanks so much for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, Mayor.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you calling out Tay Anderson for what he did to Austin Lyle. So give folks a little bit of context. Tay Anderson's been coming to Aurora City Council meetings for months now. What is he talking about?
Well, first of all, he moved to Aurora. I don't know. I wonder, Mayor Mike Johnson and I are at odds over this Venezuelan thing and whether he systematically pushed him into Aurora. But, I have to think there's some conspiracy here that it benefited Denver to have him move into Aurora. But anyway, so what he did, first of all, we had an unfortunate shooting, and of course, Tay Anderson's making a big deal between Kyle Lewis, a black man who was a career criminal who had a history of gun violence. And was wanted for attempted murder, and pulled out a cell phone as if it were a firearm, and he was unfortunately, he was shot by an Aurora police officer, and so they're trying to make a big deal out of that. But what he's not talking about is that when he was on the Denver Public School Board, he led the effort to pull Denver police officers out of the schools, out of high schools, Denver public schools, all of them. And he was successful in doing that. And so then we had an Aurora resident, unfortunately. He went to Overland High School. He was expelled from that for a weapons violation and a firearm violation. And then he was allowed to go to Denver Public School to East High School. I think he had a relative in Denver. And so he had to be patted down every day as a condition of his safety, the quote unquote safety plan. And so without armed officers being able to do that search, it was school administrators, unarmed school administrators with no experience that had to do that, that had to pat him down. And when they patted him down one morning, they discovered he had a handgun. And so, and he pulled it out and shot the two administrators who survived, but I think one was in critical condition, and the other one's pretty serious condition. And then the individual fled and then turned the gun on himself, and that was Austin Lyle. And so, they had Tay Anderson had organized disruptions of. I think he went in with a bullhorn during a town hall meeting that Councilmember Hancock and Zavanek were doing, and totally, shut it, quote unquote, shut it down. And then the disruption, meeting after meeting after meeting in city council. And I was blowing off some steam. Certainly felt good. After the meeting, not during the city council meeting, but after the city council meeting. And, of course, Tay Anderson, in typical fashion, said that I had like attacked him and assaulted him and all that stuff. Let me tell you, as a U.S. Marine Corps combat veteran, if I had assaulted him and attacked him, I don't think he'd be talking about it.
No, that's exactly right. And the bad words, the shouting, that all came from Tay Anderson's supporters, people around Tay Anderson, not from you. But what you're pointing out is that Tay Anderson's trying to blame Aurora PD and find fault with Aurora PD for the loss of life of Kylan Lewis, while you're pointing out that it was exactly his decisions made on the Denver Public School Board that led to the loss of life of Austin Lyle. So he really shouldn't be throwing stones while living in a glass house.
Right. I think that young man would still be alive today if not for Tay Anderson. And who knows, Tay, I don't think that's his real name. I think that's his stage name. His real name is probably Dwayne or something like that. But I mean, he's planted himself in Aurora, and he's glommed onto this issue in an effort to elevate himself, and no doubt a tragedy for the family of Kylan Lewis. But he's trying to exploit that tragedy again to elevate himself. And he's just not something we need or want in the city of Aurora. And I got to tell you, the people of Denver pushed him out. The people of Denver, first of all, he saw that he had no ability to win re-election for Denver School Board. After having started that campaign, he dropped out of that campaign. Then he started a campaign for the State House of Representatives in Denver and saw that he was going nowhere with that, dropped that campaign, and then decided to move to Aurora. As a do-over, well, we're just not going to give him a do-over.
No, I think you're right, Mayor Kaufman. It's Mayor Mike Kaufman of Aurora joining Jeff and Bill live. We are talking about confrontation that happened after a recent city council. Some of the video is going viral. Oddly enough, the video that Tay Anderson supporters are circulating is edited to make it look much worse and more confrontational on Mayor Kaufman's side than it actually is. We had just played you the entire full run of the video, and I believe the mayor is absolutely correct that Tay is trying to use this as a way to heighten his appearance and the visual nature he has in it's the wrong word, inside of the community. They want his presence in the community so that he can turn around and run for city council or something else. He wants to say, I'm the guy that has to be here to clean this up. How long has Tay Anderson and his compatriots been chanting and disrupting the city council meetings for you?
It feels like forever. It's been quite a while. I'm trying to think of how long it's been, but it's been months after month.
And they're not only outside, they also come in and disrupt the internal meetings at times,
and it's
correct?
horrible. In fact, if you go listen to the language that they're using, it's not only applied to Mike Kaufman or Aurora PD, but some of the stuff they're saying about Danielle Jurinsky is wildly sexist.
Yeah.
And totally inoffensive to the point I can't even play it on the station.
And this comes from the people that you would assume are on the DEI woke side, the people using these insults, these pejoratives, these unsubstantiated attacks. These are the people that always tell us that we have to watch our language and police ourselves. What are some of the confrontations they've done and the disruptions they've done during the meetings, Mayor?
Oh, well, what they've done is, they don't honor any of the rules. They speak over their time limit. Doesn't matter how hard I hit the gavel. They use, foul language against the rules. They do personal attacks against the rules. I mean, they'll yell in the audience and disrupt the meeting. So, what I'm asking for council, and I hope that I get is the authority to unilaterally decide once a meeting is started to if they're in fact, to have a zero tolerance for their behavior and be able to move the meeting into a virtual meeting. And it's unfortunate that we have to do that. But they're wasting our time. And so if we have to do it, I'll do it. But I need that authority.
Mayor Mike Johnston.
No, he's the guy that paid to leave Denver. I'm certain. I was telling Mayor Kaufman. I was telling Mayor Mike Kaufman off the air that probably Johnston said, "Here in this envelope, is this enough to make you change your zip code?"
Right. I know.
Probably gave him a few months free rent or something.
Yes, exactly. Yes, put him up in one of the hotels. Yes.
Mayor Mike Kaufman joining us to talk about what's happening with Tay Anderson. Tay Anderson, you know that name. destructive in Denver public schools, run out of there, found liable for texting 16-year-olds inappropriately while as a member of the school board, and then not able to run for state house, his nonprofits failing. Now has found his way to Aurora, where he's creating disruption, and his followers are launching wildly sexist accusations, claims against people like Danielle Jurinsky, shouting curse words, disrupting. It's not right. I don't think it reflects the memory of Kylen Lewis well at all. And this guy is directly responsible, from my opinion, and I think Mayor Mike Kaufman is exactly right, for the death of Austin Lyle. So he shouldn't be throwing stones. Mayor Mike Kaufman, thank you so much for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show.
Thank you so much for your time today, sir. And thank you for getting into Tay Anderson's face and pointing out his blatant hypocrisy. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a great day, sir. That was really cool. He's absolutely 110% correct. He should have gone up and gone to Tay and asked him about Austin Lyle, because Tay Anderson's critique is, hey, Mayor Kaufman, hey, Aurora City Council, it is your decisions, your policies that have put Kylen Lewis in danger and led to his death. That is the premise they are operating off of.
Yes.
Now, we are discounting the fact that Mr. Lewis at the time was wanted for attempted murder. So when we know the men and women in blue are approaching anybody that is suspected of attempted murder, the level of potential violence goes up. Their radar should be higher. If someone that is accused of attempted murder goes for something like a cell phone and is picking it out and holds it in the manner in which it appears to be a weapon, which according to testimony is what happened, I believe the law enforcement officials, the police, have to assume violence is intended because there is a track record of violence from this individual already. And the thing that was most important about Mike Kaufman pointing out is it is directly the policies that Tay Anderson was responsible for that led to the situation with Austin Lyle. Pulling the SROs out of the school led to untrained individuals that should have been done something else that morning in the schools having to do pat downs. We talk about all the BS that is lumped on schools. These were administrators that have no business doing personal searches. They should be doing something else inside of that school. But because of Tay's choices, they pulled the SROs out, and he put those people's lives in danger in a situation they never should have been. I don't think Austin Lyle should have even been in the Denver public school system, but agree. That's okay with Tay Anderson and his supporters. Yet, he has the gall, he has the temerity to stand outside an Aurora City Council meeting and go inside at times and disrupt it and say it is their policies. Take a minute and look in the mirror, Tay. Understand the decisions that you made and what that did when you were put in charge. How dare you turn around and get mad at the mayor, get mad at the city council? You can have a point about maybe some of the policies, but why don't you take ownership for the policies that you put in effect that led to serious injuries against people that are running our schools? You put them in a situation that put their lives in danger. You voted for it, you advocated for it, and you said it was the right thing to do. How dare you stand outside that meeting and denigrate Mike Kaufman, denigrate the Aurora City Council, denigrate the police officers, the men and women in Aurora. How dare you, sir? Get the hell out of our city. I'm a little mad.
I'm just gonna let that go, man.
I'm a little mad.
Awesome.
It is such piles of hypocrisy, piles of BS. It is crap. Once again, Tay Anderson shows us exactly who he is, the clown that he actually is.
That is the exposed nerve for Bill in politics.
Yeah,
is hypocrisy, and it doesn't matter if it's right, left, or anything. It
doesn't matter.
It's hypocrisy.
I can't stand it. And there's someone that is swimming neck deep in it. That's all he traffics in is hypocrisy. It's disgusting. Get out of my city.
Now, 8875 texting us, and I think this comes from Stephen Tubbs, right? Aeon Tay Miss Thang Anderson, right? Is that what he called her?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, Stephen really did a good job going after him. He did great work.
Hat tip to Stephen Tubbs.
Hat tip, my friend.
Thank you for 8875 reading that back. Aeon Tay Miss Thang.
That is
all
good.
Right. Let's check in on news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
That was great. Great work, guys. Stefan just totally exposed him, and that was great work by you guys in that interview. Excellent. 33 and clear in Denver, expecting a 44 today. I apologize. Our top story.
Just sitting in our mind, isn't it? Aeon day, Miss Thing.
Yeah. This dude gets away with everything.
Dude is on the school board texting 16-year-old girls.
All right. And Jimmy and Stefan just exposed him so well. God, it's just horrible. Gotta push back. Great job. Love how they're singing gospel hymns and then dropping F-bombs.
Right.
And GDs right in the middle. All right. Oh, my goodness. 33. Clear in Denver. It's going to be nice today, but it is going to be cold, really chilly tonight and this weekend. Denver police investigating a new stabbing case in downtown. Officers were called to the area of Larimer and 20th Streets in the Ballpark District Thursday. One person was found with stab wounds and taken to the hospital. The victim's condition was not released, but they are expected to survive. Police arrested 2 suspects in connection with the stabbing. 2 people died after a series of stabbings near 16th Street Mall, of course, last weekend. Negotiations for Israel and Hamas have reportedly signed a ceasefire and hostage deal. Multiple outlets say the deal was signed today in Qatar by officials from Israel, Hamas, the U.S., and Qatari officials. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu released a statement saying that families of the hostages were informed a short while ago of the agreements. Make no mistake about it, the terrorists, they heard DJT loud and clear.
Those hostages aren't back. I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
Wait till your father gets, until your father gets, wait till your father gets home. See what I mean? Wait till
Daddy is home, especially on Monday.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
And Jeff will be there with his lovely wife on Monday with coverage right here on KNUS, and look forward to that Monday morning. Denver firefighters have reportedly lost confidence in their chief and deputy chief. Members of the Denver Firefighters Union voted on a no confidence resolution for Chief Desmond Fulton and Deputy Chief Kathleen Renberg. Union leaders say that they are upset that the top commanders in the fire department were not punished for misusing comp time rules and getting paid extra at the end of each year. KCNC reporting on Thursday that the resolution was approved, which will lead to a vote by even more firefighters in the next 30 days. Fire crews in Southern California have been able to make more progress as winds in the region have eased up. At least 27 people have been confirmed dead from the fires, and more than 170,000 people are under evacuation orders. President Biden is commuting the sentences of 2,500 nonviolent drug offenders. Biden said today that the move targets disproportionately long sentences compared to the ones that are handed down today. Confirmation hearings continued on Thursday. One of the biggest liars, slimy reptile Adam Schiff, who makes up bigger fictional stories and hoaxes than anyone, questioning Pam Bondi.
Can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election? Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha.
Man, you got that right. This one hit me right after the show on Thursday. The great Bob Uecker, Mr. Baseball, voice of the Brewers, played in the bigs, did everything, passed away at the age of 90.
Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed. Ball 4. Ball 8. Low, and Vaughn has walked the bases loaded on 12 straight pitches.
Celebrating on the field, celebrating in the stands.
To be able to walk into that clubhouse and be with them. I don't know what I would do, with no more. If I think of no more baseball for me, I don't know what that would be like. I got out of high school and I joined the Army and I signed a baseball contract. That's been it, really.
What a life. 31. He was incredible. 31 in
How do you catch a knuckleball? Do you remember that one?
I don't remember.
That came from him. His answer on how you catch a knuckleball.
I don't remember that.
You wait for it to stop rolling on the ground and pick it up.
I think I do remember. That's awesome, man. He was so funny. Just natural, man. 31 in Englewood and 30 in Lafayette. 33 in Denver. TGIF, Jeff and Billy continue.
Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried.
Blake Olson, News Talk, 710 KNUS.
Good morning, Denver. Your 710 5-day forecast. Going to start off with some sunshine and brisk winds. Midday temps will hit the mid-40s, then stay steady and fall this afternoon as an Arctic front arrives. Plummeting temperatures tonight. Snow showers developing late with moderate snow overnight into the day Saturday. Winter weather advisory in effect through 5 p.m. Saturday. Highs on the weekend will be in the low to mid-teens with lows falling to 0 to 5 below. Scattered snow showers ending with drier conditions Sunday. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
At this hour, I'm Christina Owayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. Tom Homan, President Donald Trump's incoming border czar, is considering setting up a hotline for Americans to report illegal migrants who have committed crimes. Homan saying he's pitching the fresh idea of the hotline so that there's an outlet for Americans to report child traffickers, forced labor traffickers, sex offenders, and any other crimes that put the safety of U.S. citizens at risk. Homan saying he wants people to have another way to be part of the fix. The hotline will run alongside the tip line set up by Immigration and Customs Enforcement that gets an average of 15,000 calls a month, according to the agency. ICE welcomes tips on illegal immigration, along with other violations of the law, like drug smuggling. Donald Trump has appointed actors Jon Voight, Mel Gibson, and Sylvester Stallone as special ambassadors to Hollywood, with the goal of bringing back another golden age of Hollywood. Trump saying they will serve as special envoys to me for the purpose of bringing Hollywood, which has lost much business over the last 4 years, to foreign countries, back bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. These three very talented people will be my eyes and ears, and I will get done what they suggest. It will again be like the United States of America itself. BP Oil Company is cutting 4,700 jobs worldwide and 3,000 contractor roles as part of a cost-saving drive. That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Owayo, Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Bill, you really kicked off those text messages here.
On two things. Both the 6 and the 7.
That's right.
I'm in rare form today. Yeah.
Tell us what you really think.
Yeah, that was my favorite one.
Yes.
Yeah, and that one it said, and I went full Barney.
You went full Barney.
That high five on that one. That's a fantastic reference.
Jeff and Bill, this is from Steven on the text message lines. Tay Anderson was the BLM violent organizer in the summer of hell 2020, burning city, looted businesses. Was he out there with BLM?
I believe that, I don't know where he was, but I believe he was part of the organization because he was involved in that. And so I don't know where on the depth chart he was, but it would make sense based on his politics and his position at the time. The thing that I remember, and I reminded the texter of, is when he did that fake slip and fall when the DPD was trying to move the homeless encampment downtown. They came over and they touched him. He went, oh, it fell down. And as I pointed out in the text message, listen, I'm a hardcore soccer fan and a hardcore professional wrestling fan. I know a fake fall when I see one. Immediately, I can see, oh, you're pretending. Immediately. And he did that. He didn't even do it well as far as a flop. There's some really good flops I could show you, and he did not do a good job. So, again, Tay, get out of our city. If you think this is going to leapfrog you into another political position where you can use it to scam voters, where you can use it to enrich yourself, where you can use it to artificially inflate your profile, when you can walk around and do things like, say you have, I still don't know what your actual job is. If you think this is going to be a fruitful place for you, no. We have some people that are friends of the show that sit on that Aurora City Council. Mayor Mike Kaufman is a friend of the show. There are people here that are going to stop your nonsense. This is not Denver. Don't come and play this in our house.
GoFundMe for
after you had a baby.
After
he had a baby, and then he did the thing. He sat there.
He raised money for his college fund.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, but he did the thing that I still remember the video. He's like, I just had a baby, and look, I'm here at Target. Can you buy me some diapers?
And I'm pretty sure he didn't marry the mother. That's honestly the best way to help a child.
Yeah, that's
stable family.
Yeah. And again, dude was investigated, and they found likelihood and some history of him reaching out and having inappropriate conversations with students while he was a member of the school board.
Yes,
that's not okay. He wasn't just asking them to see if he could help with the homework. He had a whole different thing in mind based on the language that was used in those text messages. I'm just saying, based on what we saw, there was an entirely different intent behind that. And that says a lot about the person's character and the decision making that he brings to any sort of public office or elected position. That's the decision making that he was willing to do when he was in that position of power.
8875, absolute grifter. He's a clown.
Yes.
Holly K from Lakewood. Big applause to Bill. Hopefully Tay Sharpton will hear that.
Oh, thanks, Holly. Now, anybody can clip that and send it to him. Happy to.
Oh,
Go
believe
ahead.
me, that'll get there.
Yeah,
the
please
Cure
do.
fan, way to go, Bill. So if you missed the interview, we had Mike Kaufman on, the mayor of Aurora. He got into a little bit of a heated exchange with Tay Anderson earlier this week at the Aurora City Council meeting. Here it is.
Turn me around. Turn me around. Turn me around. Say his name. Say his name. Turn me around. You killed him. Out of his face. Who the do you think you are? Is that the council? Turn me around. Turn me around. Turn me around, ain't gonna let no council. Turn me around, gonna keep on. You killed him! You killed him! You killed that young right man! You killed him! You killed him! Ain't gonna let no near. Turn me around. You! Whiny little you! Ain't gonna let no near.
All right, so let me dissect to you all what happened here.
Yeah, please do.
There's a city council meeting, and there's people frustrated with the investigation that took place into the shooting of Kylin Lewis. Okay, so Kylin Lewis was wanted for attempted murder. He was a person of interest, and they were trying to find him because a car matching his description had shot at people, including a blind person that was hit by bullets. So SWAT teams in Aurora are looking for this guy. They find his car. They approach him. He quickly pulls out his phone and he's shot one time. Now, it happens really fast, but there was an investigation into all of it and deemed that it was the police officer acted justly, did not act outside of the bounds of training or city protocols or anything like that. So, but people are frustrated in the city of Aurora. So they show up at the city council meetings and they express their frustration. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Look, that we're a government of the people, by the people, for the people. So you should have the right, even if you're angry and frustrated with the government, to be able to share your perspectives. Now, I went back and watched some of these folks.
Yeah.
And to Tay Anderson's credit, at least in this one, he's not overtly bad in his language and stuff like that. But it's not just Tay Anderson. You got all these other people. Yeah. And some of these people are scum of the earth.
Yeah.
And they get up there, and especially the last guy.
Yeah.
Just goes after Danielle Turinsky and Mike Kaufman. I mean, with sexist comments, drops F-bombs every other word. It's just terrible. And to the point where Mike Kaufman gavels it down, ends the meeting. We're done. Okay. Yeah. I mean, just totally inappropriate.
Yeah, it's like stuff. if you cannot understand how to behave in public during a public meeting, sorry, and no more public meeting. I mean, if you can't walk in and understand the decorum and what the standards are in that setting, you don't get to participate. That's the reason why you're not allowed to take your pants down to McDonald's. I mean, we all kind of agreed there's a balance here. And
exactly.
Come on, yeah.
So Mike Kaufman's frustrated at this point, and I understand. I mean, gosh, especially the stuff they say about Danielle.
Oh, it's awful.
I mean, it is, and it's not appropriate. And these people tend to be, quote unquote woke and it's stuff
ridiculous.
that is totally inappropriate. So Mike's
and the problem is once you start making the ad hominem attacks, the attack to the person, you have abdicated your entire argument. Because if you had a legitimate argument, if you had a legitimate complaint, you don't need to call names.
Yes,
you can make your case without saying a single thing that insults the other person. As soon as you turn to those insults, it means you can't stand on the case alone, that you have to add something else.
You're dragging Kylin Lewis's name through all this stuff. So even if you believe he was totally innocent, and that, look, I watched the video. Yeah. And it's hard to watch that video because now that you know that it's a phone, you're like, dude lost his life.
It is horrible.
Okay.
And the thing is, once you know it's a phone, you can see it's a phone. But in that situation for the law enforcement officers, they know this individual is wanted on attempted murder, that this person has been violent before, possibly to a point of taking someone's life. So when they pull anything out of their pockets, there is an assumption there that since past behavior could predicate current behavior, this is more dangerous. It's more dangerous than anybody in our audience, regardless of race, creed, or color, who isn't accused of that crime in the same situation, making the same actions. It is a different situation, and the law enforcement officers will respond differently when you're confronting someone that is a possible murderer. That seems perfectly reasonable to everybody except for Tana's friends.
Well, and I understand the frustration. I understand family frustration. Someone died. They died innocently in the sense of they weren't trying to shoot cops. So it's a terrible situation. Now, should that police officer be put in jail? Should he be prosecuted? All that stuff. We went through it. The city of Aurora investigated, looked into all this stuff and decided no. So they're hosting this the city council meetings, and people are interrupting it. There are lots of curse words, lots of inflammatory, inappropriate language. Mike Kaufman's frustrated. So after the meeting's done, he walks by Tay Anderson and he yells, "Austin Lyle."
Yeah.
Austin Lyle. Now that's not the same name as Kylin Lewis. So why is he yelling Austin Lyle? And it's because when Tay Anderson was a member of the Denver Public School Board, he implemented policies from Mike Kaufman's perspective that directly led to the death of Austin Lyle and his suicide, the shooting of school administrators, the fact there were no resource officers in these schools. That was because of Tay Anderson. So what Mike Kaufman's saying is, you're going to throw rocks at Aurora PD, Tay Anderson, you're going to sit here and point out and say, Aurora PD, you're the reason that Kylan Lewis is dead. Meanwhile, when you were in leadership, you specifically implemented policies, according to Mike Kaufman in this situation, that led to the death of Austin Lyle and the shooting of 2 school administrators.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Even point fingers.
Yeah. How dare you come to this council and question their decision making and who's being held responsible when you can point to decisions that were made by the Denver Public School Board that were advocated for by Tay Anderson that led to the shooting of 2 school administrators, because those administrators are not trained to perform that action, nor should they be involved in an action like that with a dangerous student who already had a weapons charge and was kicked out of Aurora Public Schools. So we knew this individual, and I mean the we and the royal we, meaning the school district and everybody involved, knew he was a threat and a potential perpetrator of violence. You should not be putting administrators into that situation, but they were forced into that situation because of decisions that Tay Anderson advocated for and said were the correct decisions to remove a school resource officer out of the campus and in my mind, left the school administrators in some ways unprotected in this role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. So what are the lessons in all this? One, I think Mike Kaufman's right. I'm glad he challenged Tay Anderson. Tay Anderson has been destructive at the Denver School Board. He's been destructive in these nonprofits. He was a threat to the kids that he served as a school board leader and got admonished for inappropriate texts to 16-year-olds when he's a member of the school board. And now he's coming to Aurora. And thank God, Mike Kaufman had the stones, the strength to go down and directly confront Tay Anderson and the grift that guy is trying to pull in the city of Aurora. If you're going to look, we tell our kids, if you're going to be involved in civic activity, and I hope you are, because it is, again, we are a government of the people, by the people, for the people. So be engaged, but be respectful when you do it.
Yeah.
And don't act like these yahoos down there saying what they said in the city council meeting. And then secondly, look, if you're stopped by police, okay, we've had these conversations with our kids, and you feel like it was unjust, you feel like it's not fair, okay, there's a time and place to have that battle.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You will be given the space to have that battle.
Yep.
Not on the side of the road.
No.
You're going to do it in a courtroom. You're going to do it with logic and facts, and you're going to showcase it. But you have got to be deadly serious about what happens, even in a traffic stop. So what we tell our kids is lights on, hands up, so that everybody can see it. You do not reach for anything. You do not quickly pull out anything. You simply wait for them to give you orders. You slowly get things if they ask you for your registration, your license, anything like that. You know, and I just think we're not doing our kids a service if we're not sharing with them the cops' perspective on this.
See.
They don't know who you are. They don't know anything about you. They've got to approach this unknown car. And if you make rapid movements, they're fearing for their own lives.
Now, what I've told my kids is the idea, and it was something that was told to me by Reggie Rivers, former Bronco, former talk show host here in Colorado, that he learned from his father. Because he tells the story that when he was younger, they're sitting in the car and they're driving, and his dad's, military, lifetime military, and saw they got pulled over, and dad was scared. This is the toughest dude he's ever seen in his life, and dad was shook to his core. Afterwards, he's asking him, Dad, what? And he goes, no, listen. He goes, in this situation, I understand that, we may feel that I'm being pulled over for the wrong reason. I may be being accused of something for the wrong reason. I may not be the person they are even looking for. But the one thing you have to keep in mind is the law is whatever that officer says it is at that point. That is not the time to push back. That is not the time to disagree. There are other times and say, that's the issue, is at that point, even if that person with the badge is wrong, in that instance, because of their position, the law is what they say it is, and you have to play ball. I agree that in many situations that can be wrong, but that's how the game is played, and that's how you survive. That's how you realize you can wake up to the next day. You will have an opportunity to go after, reason, and ask questions about why this happened. And there are ways and processes. And yes, it's a pain to do it, but it's a lot less painful than having any sort of a physical confrontation with a law enforcement officer at that point.
Yes.
Allow them to
all
define it and say yes, and then deal with it later on.
And those folks going, I want your supervisor down here. I want your dad claiming and demanding all that. Look, you can even film it, record it.
Yeah,
you have every right to do that.
Please do film it. And that's great. And it's also a great reminder. If you start filming it, perhaps then you will also check yourself.
Yeah,
that maybe
right.
you don't want to be the person on that video that's screaming and yelling. You have every right to take the officer's name and badge number and ask questions about it later on. But in that instance, it's as difficult as it is to accept. The law is whatever that officer says the law is, and you have to deal with it appropriately. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's just a fact of life.
And you can get an attorney later and fight it, but just be safe. Get through the situation alive.
Make sure that you and the officer come out on the other end alive, and we'll figure it all out later.
That's exactly right. Bill, you and I agree on that. Speaking of great attorneys, if you're ever injured in an injury case, okay, this is the guy you want to have represent you. I'm talking about Dan Caplis and Dan Caplis Law. Look, speaking of police officers, he's the son of a police officer. He's a former seminarian. He has dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. He's pro-life, pro-family, pro-faith, pro-America. He's solid on the values, guys. That matters when you show up to an injury case. It's going to send a message to everybody involved in the case. And even more importantly than that, right? It's important to have a guy with good values, but does he win in the courtroom? Listen to this, all right? Dan Caplis is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. In fact, it gets better. Dan is believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. So you're getting a guy solid on the values who's a real winner, and I think he's a winner because he's solid on the values. All right. Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, here's his phone number. Why don't you put it in your phone right now so you have it? 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, CAPLIS law.com. All right, phone lines are open. Join the conversation. What do you think about all this? Do you think Mike Hoffman was right to challenge Tay Anderson and to confront him for what he did that, from Mike's perspective, led to the death of Austin Lyle? Or is Tay Anderson a great civil rights leader that's trying to defend the violated rights of Kylen Lewis here in Aurora?
And if Tay Anderson starts to run for Aurora School Board or Aurora City Council, what do you think his chances are of winning a seat? Curious. Do you think he could be there?
I would weep for the people of Aurora, but I would provide a lot of radio content.
We had socialists in the Aurora City Council.
That's
before
right.
We had Zvonik, The Beard, Jurinsky, all that great team coming in. We had confirmed socialists on the board. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities. If he throws his hat in the ring, even though it's a giant clown hat, how many votes does he get?
Great question. Phone line number 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line. Those texts come right in here to the studio, 720-819-5115. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader. This is News Talk 710 KNUS. hey, I know them. Like, I know them. That's great.
It goes right into the live,
Yeah, I
guys.
heard it's a good show, too.
Let's go to the phone lines. We're talking Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman got into him. He did exchange with, what do they call him? Anton Tay, Miss Thing Anderson. As Devin Tubbs called him.
Oh, yeah.
With Tay Anderson, who's just moves from destruction to destruction to destruction. He kind of just destroys wherever he gets involved with. Let's go to Gina Aurora. Good morning, Gina. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Morning.
Good morning. So I just want to talk about my experience when I went to a city council meeting. It was a few months back. So Antoine and this group have been doing this, for a very long time. I work over at by the Medical Center of Aurora, and they put in these bike lanes, which no one uses. People actually drive down them. And it creates kind of a traffic issue. So I wanted to go and kind of voice my concern about these stupid bike lanes over here. And I sat and I waited and I waited. And that group took up probably 45 minutes right off the bat. So, eventually I just hung up, I gave up. But what I would really love to know is, because I couldn't tell, did Antoine have a response when Mayor Kaufman said this to him? I would have loved to have seen his face.
Well, the response right now is that he was attacked. Tay Anderson was attacked by Mike Kaufman.
Yeah, so keep that in mind, Gina, that because Mayor Kaufman went over and yelled at him. Tay views that as an attack because you know the whole thing about sticks and stones and words and bones.
He says the mayor utilized his position of power to intimidate and attack me to the point where another council member had to forcefully remove the mayor from my face.
And here's the thing, the forceful removal and on the video is that Danielle Drinsky walks over, puts her hand in Mayor Kaufman's lower back and just guides him forward. That is the forceful movement that he's talking about. But again, this is a guy that was touched by the Denver Police Department and fell down on the ground and cried like he just broken his leg. So his definition of attack is considerably loose, based on what we find in the dictionary. But yeah,
it just is frustrating because I couldn't voice my concerns, and other people, I'm sure, couldn't voice their concerns because they monopolized the whole entire thing. And it's sad. I feel bad. It's
Gina, that is a great point, and thanks for the phone call. The fact that because of Tay Anderson and the rest of the clowns with him, the rest of the business couldn't get done. The concerns that Gina has, a citizen in Aurora, the concerns she has based on her workspace and things her coworkers deal with, they couldn't get to because someone was acting a fool. Nice job, Tay.
That's exactly right, Bill. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is KNUS.
It is 8 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Friday, January 17th. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations. You're into work in the greatest country in history. Enjoy the warmth while you got it. And we're diving into a whole another hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, but most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. Grab a cup of coffee, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Speaking of issues that matter to you, this is a big one. Yes. Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson. Don Day, 710 KNUS meteorologist, is going to join us. Give us some insight into what the 100+ hours of freezing temperatures are going to be like, basically Friday night all the way through Wednesday night. Sub-zero temperatures, snow, wind, chills. Oh my goodness. What should we expect? How can you prepare? All that stuff. You're not going to want to miss Don Day's interview coming up right after news and comment with Blake Olson. Speaking of that, good morning, Blake.
Morning.
Good morning. Football on TV all weekend. Don't leave your house. Stay warm. Watch football all weekend.
Well, and I told my kids, because they hear about freezing pipes and all that, and I'm like, it's not like the damage is definitely done during the freeze, but the real flooding damage that comes when it warms up.
Right. Yeah. Right? Absolutely. Well, I didn't look at the snow next week. I don't think there's supposed to be a lot of snow, but we'll see.
Little bit of snow Saturday and Sunday.
Gotcha. You just make sure you wear your blue ski gear on Monday, okay? So we can see at the inauguration.
I wish
the
it was
bright
like
blue
MAGA red. I wish I had bought.
I know, but you wear a Make a MAGA hat. Wear that, and you'll be good.
Yeah, that's right.
And then all the protesters, they won't say anything to you because you're wearing blue. So just take the hat off. You won't get hit by the eggs.
Oh, I'm definitely going right down into all those protesters.
Yeah,
I
you
did
need
the
to do
DNC protesters. I walked around. I didn't talk to everybody.
Roll tape. I want to hear it.
Yeah.
It's some good stuff. We need those actualities. All right, 33 and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 44 today. Our top story, Tay Anderson, a friend of the show. Well, not really. Who always finds an issue to exploit. Now he's going after Aurora council members at their meetings. He wants Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman to apologize for a confrontation that occurred Monday night that was instigated by Tay, the least credible human being in Denver. Kaufman yelled at Anderson, and he said he was responsible for the death of Austin Lyle, who died in 2023, Denver East High School, after Anderson failed to protect students in the Denver Public School District and East High when he was on the school board. They didn't have any SROs. Anderson protesting the death of Kylan Lewis, who was killed by Aurora police during a stop when Lewis pulled out a phone. The police thought it was a gun. Anderson, he's been screaming for 2 months at the city council meetings. As Kaufman walked out, Anderson went after Kaufman verbally, so Kaufman fired back.
Of course, Tay Anderson, in typical fashion, said that I had attacked him and assaulted him and all that stuff. Let me tell you, as a U.S. Marine Corps combat veteran, if I had assaulted him and attacked him, I don't think he'd be talking about it.
Amen to that. The question is, who's paying Anderson? How does he eat? He spends a lot of time there causing chaos, and that's what he does best. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem is on Capitol Hill for her confirmation hearing today. In her opening statement, DJT's pick to lead the Department of Homeland Security said that securing our homeland is a serious, sacred trust that must be relentlessly pursued and can never be taken for granted.
As a nation, we have the right and the responsibility to secure our borders against those who would do us harm. I was the first governor to send National Guard troops to our southern border when Texas asked for help.
And she's appearing before the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee. Some progress is being made in battling the LA fires that have been burning for more than a week now. The Palisades fire burning near the coast is now 27% contained. The Eden fire in and around Altadena, and Pasadena is 55% contained. The area remains on alert as dangerous fire conditions could return next week. A ceasefire and hostage deal with Hamas is being voted on by Israel's security cabinet. It comes after negotiators for Israel and Hamas reportedly signed off on the deal. Multiple reports said the deal was signed today in Qatar by officials from Israel, Hamas, the U.S., and Qatari officials. Thank you, DJT.
Those hostages aren't back. I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
The Supreme Court may release a ruling this morning on the upcoming TikTok ban. An announcement posted to the court's website homepage Thursday saying the court may announce opinions on the homepage beginning at 10 in the morning. The court will not take the bench. Okay. The TikTok app is set to be banned in the U.S. on Sunday. U.S. National Security...
Blake, you got to interrupt you there. So TikTok is set to be banned on Monday. Have you heard about some of the offshoots? There is one company that is finding a remarkable number of subscriptions and signups.
Is that right?
Because of the TikTok ban. Yes, Duolingo. The language app. Because
really
a whole bunch of creators are trying to learn Mandarin because they're downloading other Chinese apps. So because there's some knockoffs.
Interesting.
And so Duolingo has been seeing an incredible increase in people signing up and specifically for Mandarin, which again makes you wonder why the people in charge, when they decided to try to ban the tickety talks, they didn't consider that there were some other Chinese apps out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point. There are thousands probably.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the thing. They didn't even think it through. But
Great point.
Yeah. You would think that our lawmakers would try to learn about what they're going to be passing the laws about and consider it reasonably, but here we are.
I think they're in the dark on that one, no doubt.
Absolutely.
U.S. national security agencies warn Monday's inauguration could be an attractive potential target, you think, for violent extremists. The FBI, Secret Service, Capitol Police, the Washington, D.C. government, and Supreme Court's police departments compiled a threat assessment. Officials have been on high alert, especially after last summer's assassination attempt on DJT, and of course the New Year's Day attacks in New Orleans and Vegas. Just continue to pray for safety for everyone on Monday. Dick Durbin on Thursday with Pam Bondi.
January 6th and what happened. We lived through it, many of us. We'll never forget it. To think that the United States of America's Capitol building was desecrated by an insurrectionist mob that came in and did horrible things, particularly to our police force, that keeps you safe as you sit there and keeps us safe every single day. Over 100 of them were attacked by these demonstrators. Can you understand why when Donald Trump says, the day I am inaugurated as president, I will issue a blanket pardon to these, quote, political prisoners? We view this with an outrage on our side.
Because you lied about January 6th, calling it worse than Pearl Harbor or 9/11, instead of what January 6th really was, the FBI guided tour of the Capitol building.
It's 31 in Englewood, 30 in Lafayette, 33 in Denver, TGIF. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Good morning, Denver. Your 710 5-day forecast. Going to start off with some sunshine and brisk winds. Midday temps will hit the mid-40s, then stay steady and fall this afternoon as an Arctic front arrives. Plummeting temperatures tonight. Snow showers developing late with moderate snow overnight into the day Saturday. Winter weather advisory in effect through 5 p.m. Saturday. Highs on the weekend will be in the low to mid-teens with lows falling to 0 to 5 below. Scattered snow showers ending with drier conditions Sunday. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Hey, we are going to be talking to Don Day in just a moment about the Arctic temperatures that are rolling into our state just tonight. So he'll be joining us here in a second. This is the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. That Arctic temperature is going to cause a lot of problems over the weekend. It's going to make parts of your life more difficult, but I'm going to talk about parts of your life that are difficult already. Probably like me, you've been experiencing a lot of pain in your life, not just because of in-laws or children or sometimes listen to the show. Yeah, I know I'm responsible with that sometimes, but we appreciate every moment you spend with us. But I want to talk to you about some important friends of mine that have taken away my physical pain. For years, I was living my life in pain because of some really weird and poor decisions I made as a child. Growing up, I made calculated risks, but it turns out I was bad at math. Things did not always work out so well. I've got some bumps, some bruises, some broken stuff, some surgeries. I've got a broken shoulder. I've got a bad back, bum ankles, knees. And I just figured that that's how life goes, that as you get older, things hurt. That's what I experienced in my life with the older people that I grew up around. They always complaining to get together and, and my bursitis, you won't believe my cataracts. And I thought that's just what you had to deal with. Then I met the amazing team at Balance Wellspace. Check them out, balancewellspace.com, balancewellspace.com. The reason they're different is integrative medicine. They have taken away the daily pain I was living my life in because they offer a whole bunch of treatments all under one roof. Chiropractic care, neuropathic care, physical rehabilitation, wave therapy, regenerative care, trigger point injections, and a bunch of just next level cutting edge things that are seen out of a sci-fi movie. You really got to see them in order to believe them. But the best thing is they're all non-invasive. They don't cut you open. They're not taking anything out, and they're not stitching you back up. They're not doing any of that. It's all using your body's natural ability to heal, plus with some cutting edge science that basically supercharges it. As we're talking right now, I am regenerating the meniscus in my left knee. Tore it about 9 years ago. Used to do that snap, crackle, and pop every time I'd get up and move around. Now it's my strong knee. The two bottom vertebrae in my back are fusing together. I have got really serious lower back problems. Had surgery years ago, and it was just a matter until my next surgery. Now, the timeline for the next surgery is years and years in the future because I don't have the sciatica. I don't have the pain. They loosened up the muscles. We separated the vertebrae, and now I'm regenerating that disc as well. Seriously, this is nothing short of amazing. The difference they've made in my life is the difference they can make in yours. There's some stuff that you haven't been doing in your life because of the things that hurt. Doesn't have to be that way. By the time you get to spring and summer, you can be running around with the kids, the grandkids. You can be doing the hiking. You can be riding the bike. Back doing the stuff you miss doing, but have decided your body just won't let you do it anymore. Balance Wellspace will change that. Go see the team. They'll create a personal pain plan for you. They do an evaluation. They ask you about your goals. They ask you about what hurts. They do some tests, and then they create the plan. And the cool thing about it is they go to work. And every few weeks, they check back in with you, and they check back in with each other and make sure your plan is getting you to where you need to go. Everybody in the boat is rowing in the same direction. You may have a medical team right now, different offices working on you, and you go to one, it works on one thing, go to another office, works on another thing. But now this is a team that is working all together because those other offices, when's the last time they talked? When's the last time they talked about your physical rehabilitation, talked about taking away your pain? They don't. They're siloed. They worry about the one thing they're working on, and everything else doesn't matter to them. No, this is all about you. Together, your entire pain journey and how they can peel it away layer by layer. But you've got to take the first step and contact them today. BalanceWellspace.com, BalanceWellspace.com. Brand new offices in Lowry, right across from Hangar 2. Plenty of parking. Super important for me. I can see the giant shady trees. I love to park there, under there when you arrive as well. Go talk to Dr. Jen, Dr. Jess, everybody else, the medical team, and take your first step today to making sure that your next step tomorrow doesn't hurt as much. You feel me? All right. BalanceWellspace.com, BalanceWellspace.com. And when you reach out to them, tell them you heard about them here on the Jeff and Bill Show, because boy, do we appreciate it and it helps us out. Thanks.
That's great to hear, Bill. All right. Here's some of the headlines that we're getting about this weekend and early next week's weather. Okay. Arctic blast, brutal wind chills in Colorado, Denver bracing for dangerous cold wave with snow, winter weather. Colorado Public Radio. It's going to be a doggone cold weekend with Arctic air hitting Colorado. Denver Gazette, wind chill expected to hit negative 56 degrees on Pikes Peak amid a 4-day Arctic blast. over 114 hours below freezing. It is going to be a cold one. We want you to be prepared. We want you to hear the details, how you can protect your house, how long you can stay outside, all those details like that. So joining us is 710 KNUS meteorologist Don Day. Don, thanks so much for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Good morning.
Well, happy Friday. Glad to be here.
All right. So we listen to you every morning. Give us the meteorologist update. This is the first time we've had a deep dive on this because this is going to be quite a hit to the city of Denver. What are you reading? What are you seeing with regards to this Arctic blast?
Yeah, this Arctic blast is going to mean business, not only for here in Denver and along the Front Range, but it's going to get on into the other side of Colorado, the western slope and the high mountain valleys are going to really see the coldest, not only of this season, but this will be challenging some of the cold snaps that we had last year and the year before. And this is going to cover a lot of the nation. Before this wave is done, it's going to be making a lot of headlines.
It's already making lots of crazy headlines. Like I mentioned, Denver Gazette saying that on Pikes Peak, it could get to negative 56 degrees. So when do we expect the temperatures to start to drop? Is there going to be snow accumulating as well? How about the winds?
Yeah, all of those things. Let's take a look at where the front is now. The Arctic boundary is about halfway through Wyoming, through western South Dakota, moving into the northern panhandle of Nebraska right now. And if you look at the weather conditions up there, winds are from the north around 40 miles an hour with light to moderate snow. So by the time we get into the, let's say, very late afternoon, early evening hours, it's going to be coming right down I-25. So for most of the day today, we're not going to have bad weather at all. But I want to give a heads up to folks who will be traveling late afternoon, evening, and early tonight. As the front comes in, we're going to see those winds. We're going to see the snow falling and temperatures falling sharply. So roads tonight, this evening, into tomorrow morning are going to be very, very icy. We're going to see several inches of snow from this evening through about midday Saturday. Then as the deep Arctic air settles in, occasional light snow and flurries will kind of fall off and on this weekend all the way into Monday. It's not going to be a huge storm in terms of inches, but certainly enough to be impactful because with these warmer temperatures, the first bit of snow that falls will melt, then it's going to freeze, then we're going to put some snow on top of that. So travel is going to be a bit tricky.
Talking to Don Day, 710 KNUS meteorologist. So let's talk, going outside, especially our animals. I live on a ranch. We've got anywhere from 30 to 50 animals at any one point. We live out in the Palmer Divide, so I just feel like I just times anything by 2. So we get 2 inches here in Denver. We're probably getting 4 inches down in the Palmer Divide area. Animals outside, maybe walking the dog. What should people be doing this weekend?
Yeah, without a doubt, got to really remember the animals, remember the elderly when we get into these situations, because this isn't just, cold for a day. Once the Arctic air settles in during the course of the day tomorrow, it gets deeper. Saturday night and Sunday, there's another push of Arctic air that occurs overnight Sunday into Monday. We really don't start to see a Chinook kicking in until probably Tuesday afternoon to start to warm us up. So animals will be exposed to single-digit sub-zero temperatures. You throw in the wind, and we're going to have wind chills that are going to be 10, 20, 25 degrees below zero at times. So they're going to need protection for a good solid 72 hours.
You're listening to Don Day. He is the 710 KNUS meteorologist. You hear his voice every day here on the air. We're so excited he can join us live. Now, Don, can you give our listeners some other tips with those frigid air conditions that are going to be approaching? What are things that they shouldn't do? How long should we be outside? And if you were going to be right here with us during this frigid weekend Arctic blast, how are you dressing to go outside? What would you do to prevent yourself from getting frigid cold out there?
Well, you really certainly want to dress in layers. You certainly want to protect exposed skin as much as possible. I know we really haven't had that very much of a cold winter so far, but honestly, sometimes you forget where you put things. So the scarf, the things to put around your neck, finding your good gloves. And a lot of times when people venture out in a vehicle, you got to remember to make sure you're packing things, blankets, things you never know, you might slide off the road. Don't get yourself in a situation where you don't have those things like a winter survival kit in your vehicles, and reduce your exposure if at all possible. I mean, if you don't have to be out for long, don't. Use the buddy system. Don't go out venturing alone. If you are, checking livestock, if you're going out in these situations, people can get in. You can find yourself in trouble very rapidly in these winter storm situations. And this is especially a concern tonight and early tomorrow as the Arctic boundary comes in. The snow's going to blow around. Visibilities are going to be low. You get out on those open roads that we have along the Front Range and especially out in eastern Colorado, you can get in a whiteout real quick.
Talking to Don Day, 710 KNUS meteorologist. With regards to those animals, make sure you give them extra straw, lots of food and water too. That's how animals stay warm, is if they've been drinking a lot, making sure they're eating a lot too. It helps their bodies kick through all that. Get them inside, protect them, especially from that wind. And, afterwards, we'll go clean up the mess afterwards, but keep them inside, especially over the next few days. Don Day, 710 KNUS meteorologist. Thanks so much for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill show.
Yeah, thanks, sir. Have a great weekend. Stay warm.
You guys too. Thanks for having me.
We're going to continue to watch all this. Listen and tune in to 710 KNUS for all of his meteorological reports. Because
and good reminder,
stay on top of this.
Good reminder from someone off there that called in that said, remember, if you get a chance today, fill your gas tank. Because if your car goes off the road or something like that and you need to stay warm, you got to make sure that gas tank is full. So I appreciate the caller on that one. Also, I think that Don Day was absolutely correct as far as planning for what might happen. The idea of it seems silly, but throwing a blanket into the car, throwing a little bit of food, maybe just, I always throw, if it snow's coming, I've got a small shovel because you might need to dig out. Maybe it would help to go to the store and grab a bag of kitty litter to create some extra traction in case you're in a situation where you absolutely have to get home and you don't want to stay out there in these frigid conditions. It's something that my dad always reminded me, and my kids have learned it, as far as being prepared. He said, listen, it is so much easier to take off the jacket you have than to put on the jacket you don't. So much easier.
That's exactly right.
Preparing beforehand prevents emergencies later.
What
careful.
tips do you all have? I'd love to hear from our listeners. Give us a call. My parents will go around and open the cabinets below the sinks and stuff like that.
So smart.
Make sure there's warm air getting into there. You don't have broken pipes.
That's it. It's the key to the warm air. You want to make sure the warm air is circulating because, remember, nature wants to find a balance. The hot air is going to go where the cold air is, and the cold air is going to exchange. Those pipes will bring in cold air and cold temperatures from outside, and what will happen is, because they're normally up against the wall, it can create a cold pocket. You keep those cabinet doors closed, it can create just enough of a pocket for things to freeze. Also, if you're really, really, really worried about your pipes freezing, the number one thing is keep the water flowing. What you do is you make sure you turn the faucet on. Yep, just drip. And it's not a constant drip, but it's just a little bit, because as long as the water continues to flow, it makes it harder for it to freeze. The water that is sedentary, the water that sits there that isn't moving as much, is the one that's most likely to freeze. So that will continue to help keep your pipes safe. And there's a lot of other things you can do. Make sure you unscrew all of your garden hoses outside. I know you probably have already, but maybe you've had a little bit of enough warm weather that you've watered the trees or watered your grass. Unscrew those garden hoses, please.
7201 telling us we're beta males because we're too concerned about the weather. Just toughen up out there. Well, I've got a lot of lives depending on it with our little animals, so making sure that they're okay. You got tips? Give us a call, 303-696-1971.
Oh, I got a good one
or
here.
Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line 720-819-5115.
I didn't even think of this until the caller, and I appreciate you so much, caller, for chiming in. Couldn't stay to join us on the air, but said if you do go off into the snow and you're in some sort of snowbank, make sure you get out and clear the tailpipe. Make sure the tailpipe is clear of snow. And the reason why is you're like, that doesn't seem to matter. if the tailpipe is blocked by snow, I'm not talking about stuffing up there. I'm just talking about snow up against the back of the tailpipe. What happens is all of those fumes begin to recirculate back inside the car. It kicks it back into the car. And so that's going to be dangerous. And if you're sitting in a closed car, that can kill you.
We'd love to hear your ideas and tips. We want to be well prepared for this coming Arctic blast. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour, I'm Christina Owayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. The U.S. and Mexico have teamed up to figure out where the guns are coming from that are used by Mexican drug cartels in massacres and other crimes south of the border. In fact, about 33% of the more than 71,000 gun trace requests made by the Mexican government showed that the guns were purchased in the U.S. and then trafficked into Mexico. 82% of the traced crime guns were recovered in a Mexican state with a dominant cartel presence. The trafficked guns were mostly 9mm pistols, .22 caliber handguns, AK-47 style calibers, and variants of the AR-15 rifle. Most were sold at firearm stores, pawn shops, or directly from the manufacturer, according to the report. Most of them were found at the scene of a crime in Sonora, Baja California, Chihuahua, Jalisco, and Sinaloa. A Pulitzer Prize-winning political cartoonist known for his work with the Washington Post has been arrested on child porn charges. Darren Bell, who is also known for bashing President Donald Trump, has been published by The New Yorker and the Los Angeles Times as well. The 49-year-old married father of 4 was busted this week after law enforcement received a tip. After searching Bell's home, detectives found 134 videos of child pornography linked to an account owned and controlled by Bell. They also found computer-generated artificial intelligence child pornography, according to authorities. That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Owayo, Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Arctic blast hitting Colorado here for the next 114 hours. Negative 57-degree wind chill at the top of Pikes Peak. Woo, it's going to be cold.
Oof.
Just wrapped up a great conversation with Don Day, 710 KNUS meteorologist, on how to get ready for that, how to protect your animals that are out there, especially those of us on the eastern plains with animals. Keep them safe. Lots of extra straw, food, water. Get them through and get them inside the barn. Let's go to the phones. Francis Golden. Good morning, Francis.
Morning.
You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Hey, guys. Hey, I don't think I'll be driving up to Pikes Peak anytime soon. but you know what is two hints that I've heard and used, at least. I used to live up on Lookout Mountain, and you would get, it'd get pretty chilly up there, although you'd get on things like this, you'd have temperature inversions. It's actually a lot warmer up there than it'd be downtown. But I had a couple of pipes that were prone to freeze, and I would always put just a slight drip on them, and they wouldn't freeze. And the other thing that I've always read and understood, and I think it's actually documented to have really helped and saved lives, is keep a candle in the car, a small candle, because it just even a little bit of warmth source, if you run out of gas or something like that, can really, in a closed environment, can really keep you from suffering hypothermia and freezing to death.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because I've been stuck on I-70 for 8 hours one time. I remember Floyd Hill, all the trucks that try to go up Floyd Hill coming eastbound, and then slide back down. We were just stuck for 8 hours there until they pulled them all out of the way. It's crazy.
I've never been in one of those situations, thank heavens, because I know it happens more frequent than you think. I mean, but man, just being stuck in your car for that long, oh God.
Yeah, I know.
I barely like being stuck in my car for half an hour.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
No, it's a great tip, Francis. What are you going to do the next 4 or 5 days? You going to hunker down?
No, I'm like Billy. I make poor decisions on occasion, but I don't intend to. I'll probably just I'll not run around outside, but I think I'm going to go down to the stock show again. I've got some rodeo tickets, and so I'm not going to let those go, by, and whatever. I've got a Jeep. The Jeep heaters always work like a furnace, so I'm never too worried about that sort of thing. I don't know. I don't let you can complain about the weather, but what are you going to do about it? I'm not going to let it slow me down too much. Get a workout in, do a few things.
Heading to the stock show. That's a great, and look, that beer's not going to drink itself at the bar. So,
Correct. Yeah. Somebody's got to, they don't want to lug those kegs home.
No, and you got to go to the Cowboy Bar at the National Western Stock Show too. It'd be nice and chilly.
Absolutely. The Cowboy Bar.
That is the best one.
You know what I heard? My brother told me that, he's kind of dialed in on all the changes and things that they're ongoing. But he told me last weekend, we always meet at the Cowboy Bar, and he said that next year is going to be scuttled. That's all gone.
No way.
Which is too bad, because that's what I understand. That they're either reconfiguring that, hall or something. I don't know, but Cowboy Bar is going to be gone. But I guess the Stockman Saloon is going to remain, which is cool, and they're going to kind of spruce it up, because that building is just, that building in particular is about crumbling.
Yeah, they haven't updated it, but if you go to the National Western Stock Show, you got all these nice bars up top, and then if you know about it, you go down to where the animals are.
Yeah,
and there's there's the Cowboy Bar with the old wooden chairs and all that stuff, and and all they serve is beer and water. That's it. It's perfectly simple. They need to have at least something like that moving forward.
Oh, I hope. The closest thing, one time I was out at a wedding out in West Texas, and they had kind of like this recurring rodeo out there. It was out by Midland, Odessa, and they had an outdoor bar, and it was the closest thing to the Cowboy Bar I've ever been to, because it was basically just like it's like any of these beer gardens that you have now. It's just like picnic tables practically, and just sawdust on the ground, and but they had a bar. I mean, it was, I just got a big kick out of it because you're literally like a stone's throw from the rodeo going on.
Yep, that's exactly right.
fun.
And the animals, and it's just simple. We just need some beer and a place to sit. Francis Golden, fantastic call. Appreciate you. Stay warm this weekend. Text messages coming in 5090. 1 pound can of Crisco and a wick provides warmth and light for a long time.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
necessity to winter car emergency kits.
Yeah.
Now, Bill, I brought this up that 7201's calling us beta males for talking too much about the weather.
I know. I understand that he's tough and manly and the weather doesn't bother him. That's why we are extending the very special Jeff and Bill invite to the texter to join us for the Polar Plunge. We're doing some cool stuff for the Lone Tree Police Department, helping them raise money for Special Olympics. This is part of the South Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce. We talked yesterday with a very impressive lieutenant in the Lone Tree Police Department who has a wonderful mustache that I could never, ever, ever grow. And so he persuaded, conned us, shamed us into joining him on the Polar Plunge. So we are going to put our, as the texture says, beta male butts into the freezing water to raise money for Special Olympics. Does the alpha on the text message have the same testicular fortitude? Can you come jump in the cold water with us? We would love to see you. We would even take pictures with you. We would even let you hold a sign in front of us that says alpha and we'll hold betas. We will have fun with this. But if it really isn't a big deal to be so cold, come on, come jump into a lake with us.
Go. The gauntlet's been thrown down.
Yes, we'll have fun with it. This is not going to be personal or anything else or be mean. Let's have fun with this. Let's do this. Come dressed only in the tightest, smallest Speedo you can find because you obviously are alpha and tougher and can withstand the cold much better than we do. I'm probably going to be wearing an entire snowsuit because I'm so freezing cold. Me and my beta butt. We got to, we're a little softer. So come on out. Let's do this. Yeah, texture. Come on out. Join us. If we're really that beta, come jump in a lake with us.
7201's responding, but
great. I hope so. Probably going to insult.
You read that one. You tell somebody to read that one.
Well, again, the issue being this, the issue being that if he's not willing to, then who's the alpha and who's the beta? If you can't step up to the plate.
There you go. 7201. By the way, we're getting text messages 2809. I was at the Cowboy Bar on Tuesday. Sent us a selfie.
Hey, fantastic.
Best bar at the National Western Stock Show, the Cowboy Bar. Look, let's talk about our friends over at Colorado Christian University. Do you know a high school student who has a passion for engaging in cultural and political issues? The knowledge and skills needed to impact the world through civic engagement is an ever-increasing need in today's society. Colorado Christian University is at the forefront of meeting this crucial need, equipping the next generation of competent, convictional Christian leadership in American politics. CCU's degree program in politics with an emphasis in public policy prepares students for the complex challenges of modern politics from an unapologetically Christian and foundationally conservative worldview. In this distinct program, students learn how to impact public policy and advance Christian conservative ideas. Colorado Christian University also houses the Centennial Institute, a think tank committed to mobilizing ideas on faith, family, and freedom to strengthen America's future. CCU's mission to produce graduates who impact the world with grace and truth applies in no greater measure than to our politics and public policy program. Apply today at ccu.edu/apply. That's ccu.edu/apply. Bill, happy to give you a little bit of runway if you'd like to respond to that.
Oh, not yet. I'm doing some other stuff here behind the scenes. We'll get to that in a sec.
All right. Yeah. We'll get to that because I think Bill's going to have some words for 7201 on that last text.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. Just a bunch of betas jumping into a lake.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking about the weather, how you prepare for it all the way. And 7201 says not only is weather beta, he said that Special Olympics kids are beta.
I can't believe that. It took me a minute to get to that one. I appreciate you, Jeff, on this one. I can't believe that. You're saying that Special Olympics is beta, Texter. Really? Now, it's interesting how you define beta. One, I understand the idea that you're leaning on the false study that was done for wolves, which has been disproven in the fact that the people that the researcher was viewing as alpha males turned out to be women. Maybe you're an alpha female? Possibly. But let's talk about betas. You talk about beta fish being fighting fish, and you talk about the rules are. Let's talk about Special Olympics and how you feel it's worthless charity and that they're beta because, obviously they're not the biggest, they're toughest. They don't have the physical prowess in order to dominate the landscape that someone, obviously, that is so full of testosterone, verve, vitality that you are. No, these are just people that deal with challenges that you never occur or interact with on a daily basis. These are people that have intellectual disabilities. These are people that have physical disabilities. These are people that have to navigate our world that is not set up for them. They have challenges that they face every day just to make it to the end. Stuff that you don't have the ability to take on. Stuff that you don't have to deal with. They're judged when they walk into places every day by people like you that view their lesser, that view they can't take it, they can't achieve. A friend of mine passed away a little while ago. She was born with spina bifida. She has a motorized wheelchair. She wandered around. She lived downtown. She navigated 16th Street Mall. She went in at a Tivoli Center on her motorized wheelchair, even in the snow and ice. Something you might be afraid of at that time. And I know you're afraid of the snow and the ice because when I texted you and I challenged you to come out with us on the Polar Plunge, you backed off. You don't have the spine to do that. You don't have the spine to stand with us and jump in the water. You say, nah, it's stupid. Oh, okay. But that is not a beta response. When someone asks you as an alpha male to prove your dominance, your virility, I challenge you to jump in the water, something we, the betas, are already doing. You can't step up. You go, stupid. Nah, sure, that's fine. But isn't that the response to someone that is too weak to take the challenge? Isn't that the response to someone that is too weak to step up to the plate and to do this? No, you can't. You can talk, you can text all you want. Big, big, big words. Zero action. You want to?
Man, I got to tell you, there's nothing more dismissive of being an alpha than slamming people with special needs as beta. Dude.
And then when being challenged to do something,
I guarantee
no, it's too stupid.
No, 7201 lives in his basement or lives in his parents' basement.
Yeah,
and he's just trolling.
Prove us wrong.
There's nothing alpha with that dude.
Text messages are easy. A third grader can text message. Do you have the ability to jump into a freezing lake with us in the morning? Do you have that?
He's just going to sit here and bash people's special.
Yeah, because that's what shows. That's what shows that you're the tough guys when you pick on the weakest. When you pick on the people that are the most vulnerable,
right?
You're willing to pick on the most vulnerable in the population in order to prove your dominance. I'm certain when you're walking down the street and you see someone, maybe it's an elderly person in front of you that's walking a little slower, you push them out of the way, don't you? Yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you're the person that trips the Down syndrome people that are playing in front of you. When you see someone that is disabled that might have to, maybe they don't have all of their limbs and they're using crutches to move around. I'm sure those are the people that you kick the crutch out of the way and you push them over. You make sure you get in front of them in line.
720 this is the guy that got punched once and then cried.
Absolutely.
There's just nothing there.
Yeah, because again, when he's challenged to do something, to show up and jump into a freezing lake with us, no, I can't. He's the person that was challenged to the fight. He talked a big game all day during school. And did he show up at that playground afterwards at that flagpole? No.
7586 is texting in that 7201 has no balls. Now the other ones are turning against you, dude.
Yeah, exactly. You got to protect your alpha status. What you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You're gonna step up to the plate? You're going to sit there behind your keyboard and text again because, yeah, that proves that you're
Oh,
dominant.
dude, it's turning against you, 7201.
Yeah.
You're insecure.
Totally insecure. have to make fun of the disabled.
Oh
What says more insecurity about your position in life, about your alpha status, than making fun of the disabled? Oh, yeah, that shows that you're a real man, because we know all the real men out there make fun of the disabled, right? That's exactly it. That's how we know who the coolest, most dominant person is in the room, when they walk in and make fun of the special ed kids. Yeah, that's you. Yeah, you're the guy who
it's
takes
not
care of
turning
high
out
school.
good for you, 7201 on these text messages.
Not at all.
So,
But again, you can prove us wrong. Show up.
show up.
You got the testicular fortitude? I doubt it. Yeah. Who's the beta now? Yeah. Yeah, we'll make you our bitch.
All right. All right. Supreme Court upholds TikTok ban, but Trump might offer a lifeline. CNBC reporting that the Supreme Court has ruled unanimously that the law requiring China-based ByteDance to divest its ownership of TikTok by Sunday or face an effective ban of the popular social video app in the U.S. ByteDance has so far refused to sell TikTok, meaning many U.S. users could lose access to the app this weekend. The app may still work for those who already have TikTok on their phones, although ByteDance has also threatened to shut the app down. The unanimous decision by the U.S. Supreme Court sided with the Biden administration, upholding the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act, which President Joe Biden signed in April. The Supreme Court writes, there is no doubt for more than 170 million Americans, TikTok offers distinctive and expansive outlet for expression, means of engagement, and sense of community, but Congress has determined the divestiture is necessary to address its well-supported national security concerns regarding TikTok's data collection practices and relationship with a foreign adversary. Both Supreme Court Justices Sonia Sotomayor and Neil Gorsuch wrote concurrences on this. Now TikTok's fate lies at the hands of President-elect Donald Trump, who in December asked the U.S. Supreme Court to pause the law's implementation and allow his administration the opportunity to pursue a political resolution to the question of the issue. Now, Trump's going to be inaugurated on Monday, and this is one day after the TikTok deadline takes place. The CEO of TikTok, as well as many other tech leaders, are expected to be in attendance at the inauguration. So what do you think this means for TikTok? Joe Biden has said he's not going to enforce it. But why would you sign the law if you're not going to enforce it?
I know. And what does that say? The idea that, well, if the legislature passes it, we're not going to sign it or enforce it. Well, what does that mean about the force of law? And what does that do as far as the balance between the three branches of government? And also, what does that say in the future of a possible Trump administration? How many legislative actions and or court decisions does this allow the Trump administration to just ignore?
Yeah, really good question. So if you're going to put money on this, do you think the ban goes into effect or remains long in effect?
Oh, it depends on how much money they offer to donate to the Trump campaign administration and things like that. This is all about money, because it's odd where the innovative Americans didn't go out and trying to invent or create their own. Because when people were pissed originally at Twitter, we're gonna go make our own. We had a whole bunch of other ones pop up. We didn't turn around and say we're gonna force Twitter to sell. But the result here is to force this company to sell. It's also a real interesting question about constraints on free speech and businesses, but I'm not certain this thing is going to hold. But if it does, they're just going to find another app. It's going to be that easy. They're just going to jump to something else. Yeah, and they already are. So I'm curious about this one, and it's weird to see if President Trump is going to follow through on his talk about an executive action to invalidate the law, which isn't legislative. I don't think it's legally possible. I don't think you can take an
No. He could go the Biden route and just say we're not going to enforce it, but there's penalties built in to Apple and Google for carrying the app still.
Yeah,
so they are not going to update or what? But there are apps out there that those like Telegram that they don't carry, and you just have to download on your own.
Yeah, which could be an alternative as well. And it's also, I'm curious to see what the arguments are like inside of the Trump administration, because Marco Rubio was very, very anti-TikTok. He was one that was pushing the idea that we cannot allow it to exist on U.S. soil. How's that conversation going to go?
Yeah, all this to continue to watch and update coming up in the next hour. We're going to get into some cowboy poetry. It's a Friday morning. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. The texter still won't jump in the lake with us.
It is 9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Friday, January 17th. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You tuned in for the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations. You woke up in the greatest country in history. Let's get after it. We got a whole hour planned for you of engaging discussions, critical analysis, Most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where your voice is heard loud and clear, especially if it's a stupid voice.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
a time when Billy and I will really kick it off.
Oh yeah, exactly. And the still texter won't jump in the lake with us.
I know
That's weird.
this texter.
That's great.
Started off by saying that we're beta because we're talking about the weather.
Yes.
And now is saying that special needs people contribute nothing to society.
Yeah, because
you want to watch Bill and I both take you down in a bar fight?
Yeah, exactly.
This is when
Here's
you
the thing.
and he's saying that this is the exact opposite of a conservative belief. No, let me help you here, Mr. Texter.
Yeah,
because you're definitely getting under a burr under my saddle. We believe there's a God. We do. Conservatives do. Some liberals do, but conservative. It's foundational to being a conservative. Is you believe that there is a God. And he is the one who creates people. And he creates people in his image, which means that there is inherent dignity and value in every single human being. That's why we're pro-life. Okay, so if you go out there, Mr. Texter, and you start saying that people with disabilities do not have value because of what they cannot, because of what the fact that they maybe can't contribute as much in a career or whatever, in your little world, you're acting more like a godless leftist who judges people based upon that than identifying the fact that God gives the value himself out of the creation, out of his image, and therefore you are to respect it. And saying that people that are disabled somehow aren't as valuable, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're absolutely wrong.
And we know that guy, Stephen Hawking, total loser. Didn't do anything at all. George Washington Carver, also disabled. I was a loser as well. Wanda Diaz-Merced. Yeah, that didn't
and
work
I just
out
wonder,
too well.
like, which one of us
Ralph Braun
is like perfect.
I can keep
We
going
all
with
have
disabled
our health issues.
I can keep going with disabled scientists and inventors and things and people that have done things remarkable. And yeah, where are your inventions? Or where are the things that you've invented and changed the world with? Because I got a list in front of me of people that have done it despite of their disabilities that you think is a weakness, that you think makes them, not human enough. But it's wonderful that you think they don't contribute to society, because I'm certain that everybody listening to the show that believes in eugenics is all the way with you. We just need to eliminate all those people from society too. Yeah, there was a guy that had a funny mustache and liked to march around a lot. Did these big, huge rallies. Maybe you're a fan. Maybe you are.
Yeah, that gets me. You can see Billy and I on both sides of this issue when you start to attack those that have special needs. But I want to pivot now. We'll let this guy go and sit in his parents' basement by himself and text. I want to get to what's actually fun and exciting, and it's happening Monday with our good friend Mike Boyle. He's hosting an inauguration watch party at the View, 10 a.m. at the View House. And they're going to have buffets. They're going to have an open bar. And you can celebrate the inauguration of Donald Trump with some champagne or drink some vodka and wallow in maybe the fact he's not the candidate you supported. Either way, you're going to have a lot of fun.
Oh, it's going to be wonderful. And I will be there as well. So I will be more than happy to have you take pictures and point and laugh at me. Absolutely. Let's have some fun with this. I'm going to be there with Mike Boyle, and we welcome Mike Boyle from the Restaurant Show here on 710 KNUS. You hear him on the weekends, and luckily enough, he's going to join us this morning to talk about this party you set up on Monday. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Good morning, Bill. Good morning, Jeff. Guys, I don't have a lot of time to talk to you. I've got to go out and fill up my gas tank. I've already got a blanket and a shovel in the car. I've got to get to the market and buy a can of Crisco and a couple candles. You can't be too prepared.
No, you can't.
That's exactly right. Especially if others are relying upon you. You got animals, kids, those types of things.
Yeah.
Breadman pointing this out. Weather's a totally legit topic. And with this severity, and you got animals and kids, you better be prepared.
Well, and I got plenty of dog food. I got plenty of treats for Bailey, the Mexican street dog. And my refrigerator always has plenty of beer. So we might have to fill in around the edges, but other than that, I think we'll be okay.
Oh, that's
guys,
great.
It's going to be so much fun on Monday. I have to tell you, we initially figured 100 people. We sold out those tickets. Went to the View House. They said we can add a little room here. Everybody's going to be in the same big room with a fireplace. So there are tickets still available. I know some people get a little bit concerned about the weather. Fireplace, lots of TVs, warm inside. Doors will open at 9:45. We're going to do. Everybody that comes in is going to get a ticket for a drawing, and I've got gift certificates to the Black Eyed Pea and Granelli's Pizza and Butchery up in Arvada, Trestles, Capriati Sandwich Shops. We got swag from Buffalo Bills up on Lookout Mountain. I heard you talking a little bit about Lookout Mountain. We've got KNUS swag. I think it's just going to be a wonderful, wonderful watch party. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
That sounds fantastic. And what a day to celebrate, right? A lot of our listeners ecstatic about the election of Donald Trump, and you can come and toast and celebrate and have great food, right?
Well, and I think that good times and pleasant memories are to be shared, Jeff. I think that, whether you're sharing it at the inauguration in Washington, D.C., or our listeners are coming to the View House, I think that there's some things that sometimes it's nice to be alone. Sometimes it's nice to spend a little time reflecting. But I think that for something like this, it's just fun to be with other like-minded people. So that's what I would encourage them to do. We've got a wonderful, I don't know all of the people that have bought tickets, obviously, but know plenty of them. Bill will know plenty of them. And I just think it'll just be a happy occasion. And, not to mention the fact that if these temperatures are going to drop pretty severely this afternoon, Saturday, Sunday, this as well as I do. Those of us that have lived through the blizzard of 82, the blizzard of 97, after about 48 hours, you start getting a little cabin fever. There's not going to be people on the road. It'll be easy to get to the View House, plenty of free parking, close-in parking. So you're going to be out of your car for the 5 seconds that it takes to walk in the front door. But don't you agree that these things are fun to be shared with others?
Oh, 100%. And to be able to watch all the speeches, Carrie Underwood's going to be singing the national anthem, I believe, at the inauguration. You're going to have all the different speeches, all the festivities around it, and then to watch DJT take that oath and to be able to turn around and celebrate with your friends. Man, what a great place to be with Mike Boyle.
And Carrie Underwood. First of all, I love it when she says she's going to sing for the inauguration. All the haters come out. But every Sunday night when she's out there strutting, singing about Sunday Night Football, we're all in. I'll tell you something. I just think that some people need to lighten up a little bit. She's obviously a patriot. She says that she was thrilled to be asked. And her words were, it was a no-brainer. She said, I'll be there. So I think that that's the attitude that most of us need to have.
Absolutely. If only we could get Michelle Obama to embrace the same attitude. Did you hear she's not attending this one?
You know what? The inauguration will be better off without her. I think that it speaks to the pettiness of some of those people. I really do. So that if she doesn't want to attend, like I said, Jeff, I think you'll have a better time without her.
Well, I'll be doing a live broadcast from the inauguration. John Caldera will be filling in for me here with Billy. So they'll be talking. I'll be checking in. And, we just never know how it's going to go, if there's going to be enough phone access to be able to be there. But we're going to do our best to give you some live updates. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll be broadcasting live from the Heritage Foundation. So a whole lot coming up here with 710 KNUS. But it's going to include Mike Boyle live View House watching of the inauguration of Donald J. Trump, Monday, January 20th, 10 a.m. The View House is in Centennial, right off of Clinton Street there. You see it by driving by I-25, right in between Arapahoe Road and Dry Creek there. Now, Mike, tell us about some of the food they're going to have.
Well, what they're going to do is they're going to put out Kim Dammer's the banquet manager there. I've known Kim for 30 years, and she is a pro's pro. And we're going to put out a nice buffet. And I don't have the menu right in front of me, but anything she's put out buffets for us before, for our Dennis Prager event, some other things that we've done with the View House. And It will even wrap up with it'll include a starter, it'll include your salad, it'll include other items on the buffet, and it'll even wrap up with chocolate chip cookies. And anything that wraps up with chocolate chip cookies, as far as I'm concerned, is certainly worth the price of admission. So, but it'll be, there's going to be sliders, there'll be chicken sliders, barbecue sliders, stuff like that. So everybody's certainly going to get their money's worth, and tickets are available. You can either go to my website,
30 left.
MikeBoyle.com.
Only about 30 left. You got to really get on it.
Yeah,
here.
you've got to. This is going to be a big deal.
And that's actually an expansion of what the original offer was. So, yeah, come on out, folks. I know it's going to be cold, but this is Colorado and it is January. So,
And the thing is this, Mike, once you get out of the cold, once you just make that quick, because, plenty of parking out at the View House in Centennial, you can get really, really close. It's that, bit of a jog just inside. And once you're inside, they have warm, delicious coffee. They have other options that will numb. Yes, they will numb parts of your body as far as other adult libations. And so that's the idea, is hang out, and we're going to be in a warm room, and it is a day to celebrate. And you're right, Mike, that it is better to celebrate together. And this is a kickoff party for what should be a celebration for every Trump supporter, especially in Colorado. In Colorado, Trump supporters have taken it on the chin over and over and over again. And this is a time to get together and celebrate, and also maybe point fingers and laugh at me, because I'll be there as well. So, yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun.
You know what? It sounds like a minor point, but it's a good point, Bill. 95% of Americans start their day with coffee. Yes. The View House has wonderful coffee, and that will be part of your ticket, part of your admission, coffee and tea. And you know what? I'm not opposed to a Bloody Mary at 10 o'clock in the morning. No. They will have a cash bar set up. So there certainly would be something to celebrate. I think it's going to be Americana on display watching that inauguration.
Oh, I think you're going to be right. And the reason that it's okay to start the morning with a Bloody Mary is because you're also getting your vegetables. That's okay. You're already knocking off one of the food groups, so you're fine.
Good point. Thank you, Bill.
You're
I appreciate you pointing that out.
I'm there for you.
Mike Boyle,
Jeff,
host.
go ahead, Mike. You have a wonderful trip.
Thank you.
I know you're going to enjoy it. Thanks for what you're doing, because, folks, you know what? It requires a little effort to fly to Washington, D.C. and get tickets for this and the inauguration balls and that type of thing, and then broadcast live from the Heritage Foundation. But thanks for doing that, Jeff. We're looking forward to hearing the shows. And Bill, thanks an awful lot for stopping by the watch party Monday. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be listening to you and John Caldera as I drive over to the View House restaurant. Other listeners can do that, and then walk on into the door, and we'll get them all taken care of.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
MikeBoyle.com is where you go. That's MikeBoyle.com to get your tickets and celebrate with 710 KNUS, the inauguration of Donald Trump. Thanks again, Mike, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Have a great day.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, Billy, you said Jim and Sterling's got a quick story, and then we'll get to Blake.
Jim real quick.
Yeah, Jim, good morning.
Good morning, you guys, and thanks again for covering all this stuff about the stock show. It's what we do for farmers and ranchers. You guys are covering it, and that means a lot. It gives us a lot of respect. So thank you guys, hands down, for that.
Hey, Jim, you bet, man. Our food doesn't come from Walmart. It comes from hardworking folks like you all.
Thank you much for respecting that. I'll tell you a funny story. One time we had 4 bulls, and one of them we could not get in for 4 years. We could not get it, because as soon as we get in the corral, it would come right after you. Any one of us, all 5 of us, or whatever. And so it would just run after you. We couldn't get it in a trailer to sell it. It was just we couldn't corral it. We couldn't brand without it. It was just a pain in the butt. It was just the mentality of the one bull.
Yeah.
And so when you have a critter of this nature, you couldn't rope it. We tried to rope it, and it would just take off with the horse. I mean, it was once it got that big, it would take off with
in this cold weather, you just have to let it just be by itself, right?
Well, this was a nice day, so we were just moving them from one pasture to another pasture.
Nice. Well,
by trailer. So therefore, I told everybody, I said, here we go. Here's what's going to happen. I took my hoodie off, and I said, here's what's going to happen. I tied twine to each one of the gates. I said, I'm going to lead this thing into the trailer. They're like, you're crazy. And I said, yeah. And Dad's like, you're nuts. I said, well, we got to do it to solve the problem. I said, I'm willing to take the chance and the risk. And so I said, you guys pull the strings on the outside. So therefore, there's no way he can get to any of you. He's the only person he can get to is me. And I had my hoodie, and I just taunted him because he'd come right after. That's how that bull was. And that bull come after me. They'd sling one gate behind him, and then they sling the next gate. And then I got him to where right there, I got him in the trailer, and he come into that trailer, and I had my hoodie, and I threw it over his head, and I bailed up on the fence, and he ran with the hoodie into the into the trailer. He ran into the back of that trailer, and then my sister pulled that gate shut and locked that. There he was, captured in just a bumper pull horse trailer or cow trailer.
Jim, you're a real cowboy.
Thanks,
I
Jim.
love it. That's awesome. That's a fun story. Just threw the hoodie right over the face of it, got out of the way.
That is crazy.
That's great. Yeah, Cowboys are a lot of fun. Jim Sterling being one of them. All right, Jim from Sterling. Let's go to the news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Good morning. That is awesome.
Did you
What a
ever
great
jump
story.
into a corral with a bull?
Oh man, I'm not getting close to those jokers, man. That was a great story. The hoodie needs to say no BS on it or something like that. That was cool. 37 and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 44 today. Our top story: the Supreme Court is upholding the law that will ban TikTok if it's sold to a U.S. company. If it's not sold to a U.S. company, NBC's Ryan Riley outside the high court.
This is a major blow for TikTok, and overall, it will be removed. The App Store will have to remove the app. The app will no longer update to existing accounts.
The law is set to take effect Sunday. DJT considering an executive order that would save the popular app. President Biden has said his administration will not enforce the ban before he leaves office. Reuters reported TikTok users will be greeted to a pop-up message that directs them to a website that has information about the ban starting Sunday.
He had an unusual filing before he actually became president to sort of give him room to make an ultimate decision on how this will play out going forward.
Israel's security cabinet is approving a ceasefire and hostage deal with Hamas. Now, the full 33-member cabinet will vote to approve the deal sometime this morning. It comes after negotiators for Israel and Hamas reportedly signed off on the deal. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem is on Capitol Hill for her confirmation hearing today. In her opening statement, DJ's pick to lead the Department of Homeland Security said, securing our homeland is a serious, sacred trust that must be relentlessly pursued and can never be taken for granted.
As a nation, we have the right and the responsibility to secure our borders against those who would do us harm. I was the first governor to send National Guard troops to our southern border when Texas asked for help.
Noem also highlighted the border during her opening statement, saying that we have the right and the responsibility to secure those borders so no one can do us harm. Why is lefty Dick Durbin so concerned about Kash Patel investigating the government? I don't know. It beats going after grandmothers at school board meetings, right? Not to Durbin during Pam Bondi's hearing.
But he also has said and done some things which are impossible to understand and justify. For example, are you familiar with something called the QAnon conspiracy?
I have heard of it, but I do not know what it is, but I've heard of it many times, Senator.
So let me tell you what I've learned about it. Its core belief is that a cabal of satanic, cannibalistic child molesters are embedded within our government and are conspiring against President-elect Trump. They asked Mr. Patel about it, and he said, quote, "I agree with a lot that the movement says," end of quote. Does that sound like a good preparation to run the FBI?
Maybe, yeah, because the FBI may be the least trusted arm of the government right now. Keep an eye on him. A man has been sentenced for the 1985 shooting death of a Lone Tree man. 67-year-old Michael Jefferson was sentenced Thursday to serve 32 years in prison for the home invasion and murder of Roger Dean. Dean's daughter, Tamara Harney, said the family hoped for a bigger sentence. Jefferson was arrested in 2021 after detectives were able to match his DNA with evidence left at the crime scene. He pleaded guilty in August to a count of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Great Bob Uecker passed away on Thursday, of course. This was Uecker at his Hall of Fame speech.
On the way home, my mother was with child, me, and the pain started, and my dad pulled off into an exit area, and that's where the event took place. I remember it was a nativity type setting. An exit light shining down. There were 3 truck drivers there. One guy was carrying butter.
Classic, man. He was the best. NFL playoffs this week. Enjoy all of those while the cold just ruins everything outside. This weekend, there is football. That's good news. 31 in Englewood, 30 in Lafayette, 37 in Denver. TGIF. Jeff and Billy continue.
Chase a deer down or a rabbit or so. I mean, a rabbit, a deer. They're really fast. I mean, I'm hungry, so I'm going for the quick. I'm going for the quick burger.
Yes, Aaron with the bite of the week. Blake Olson. Yeah, man, it's awesome. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Good morning, Denver. Your 710 5-day forecast. Going to start off with some sunshine and brisk winds. Midday temps will hit the mid-40s, then stay steady and fall this afternoon as an Arctic front arrives. Plummeting temperatures tonight. Snow showers developing late with moderate snow overnight into the day Saturday. Winter weather advisory in effect through 5 p.m. Saturday. Highs on the weekend will be in the low to mid-teens with lows falling to 0 to 5 below. Scattered snow showers ending with drier conditions Sunday. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
At this hour, I'm Christina Aguayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. The recent underground tunnel stemming from Ciudad Juarez and leading into El Paso, Texas, has been linked to Mexican drug cartels who are using sophisticated construction methods, according to experts. The tunnel that was recently discovered has sparked major concerns among residents. It was found near the border highway, runs under the Rio Grande, is supported by beams and plywood, and links into El Paso's sewer system. According to Border Patrol, of the more than 230 tunnels found along the U.S.-Mexico border in the last few decades, most of them attached to some kind of infrastructure in the U.S. The tunnels are said to cost millions of dollars, making it evident that criminal organizations with significant cash inflow are the ones constructing them. Border Patrol also pointing out that the tunnels work both ways, with possible money, ammo, and weapons heading into Mexico, with drugs or humans crossing into the U.S. BP Oil Company is cutting 4,700 jobs worldwide and 3,000 contractor roles as part of a cost-saving drive. The CEO sent an email to staff saying that the job losses, quote, account for much of the anticipated reduction this year. The company said it would cut costs by at least $2 billion by the end of 2026 to boost returns and address investor concerns over its energy transition strategy. That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Aguayo, Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. As you know, we like to do late into the show on a Friday is saunter into the weekend, especially the cold weekend, and one where the National Western Stock Show is going on with a little cowboy poetry from 710 KNUS poet laureate Jeff Hildebrand. Good morning, Jeff.
Well, good morning. How are you today?
Have you made it down to the stock show yet this year?
I have not made it down to the stock show this year.
It's a good weekend to do it. You know, I think the lines will be a little
That's
right.
less. You betcha.
As people are hunkering down.
It's going to be cold.
Very
what
cold.
I hear.
Yeah. I mean, we had Don Day, our chief meteorologist here at 710 KNUS on the show to talk all about it. So you got to be out there. You got to be safe. You got to protect your animals, your kids. Take it seriously this weekend, folks.
I absolutely believe that. And you know, one result of snow and cold on Colorado streets, it justifies hot cider and frosted donut treats. Another I have noticed has to do with social grace. The cold has forced young men to pull their pants up to their waist. So thank God that it's winter and not the midst of summer when nearly every teenage boy is mistaken for a plumber. So
that is a good one, Jeff.
That's really good.
That is good.
So as I was coming in today, I was listening to the Aurora Council confrontation interviews on this Tay Day, and it strikes me that some people are constant complainers about anything. And no, I am not talking about Bill.
Thank you.
But keeping in mind the fact that it's going to be cold, when winter hits the Brazos, the bluster of the breeze can turn a longhorn steer around and send cowboys to their knees. The words you say just hang there, then fall to earth like lead. You have to melt them in a fire to hear what someone said. But all the fire gives off is light. It just won't warm you up. By the time you get your coffee, it's near frozen in the cup. When winter hits the Brazos, the best a hand can do is find a place to sit it out till spring comes busting through. Then just enjoy it while you can. It won't be mild for long. And when summer hits the Brazos, cowboys sing a different song. They cuss and moan the steamy heat and long for that time when the frosty chill of winter hits the Brazos once again. So some people,
it's a good reminder.
That is
some
a really good
people
one.
just find everything to complain about.
Yep.
Bill.
Yes, that is me. You are right.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot of folks that head to Arizona this time of year to enjoy it. We were down riding horses in Arizona.
Yeah.
They hadn't had rain as the ranch we were riding at in over a year.
Oh,
it was dusty everywhere.
Wow.
So, you know, Colorado isn't so bad. You got to put
Not
up
so
with
bad at
a
all.
bunch of cold winters, but it's a dry cold as opposed to where I'm going to be sitting on Monday
That's
at
right.
the inauguration.
Yeah.
Where it's just going to be a wet blanket of coldness out here. But then you get to the summers, it's just fantastic. You don't have the bugs in Colorado like you do down south. You know, the humidity.
Not everything bugs you.
No.
and even the Midwest, you've got some awful.
Oh,
bugs.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You roll up into Wisconsin, and it's like you think they're like taking off of aircraft carriers as they're mosquitoes. Ridiculous.
It's huge. So you got some stock show.
You know, we're still in the midst of the stock show.
Best 16 days in January.
I think it's great. You know, I used to, I think I maybe mentioned last week, there was a time several years ago when I was at several of the stock shows, several years, and doing cowboy church at the stock shows and performing before one of the shows that came on, one of the rodeo style shows that they had. Great American Wild West Show is what it was called back then. Anyway, it brought to mind a true story. Now, you know, cowboy poetry is really based on true stories, things that people experience either in their mind or on the ground. This is a true story. This actually happened. And this here little story, which I will now relate, is about a certain tenderfoot, a Morgan horse, and fate. He and friends were drinking from a tub of ice-cold brew. Between them all, they must have put away a case or two. And the Morgan horse was bareback, wearing just a pair of reins, and the tenderfoot had lots of liquid courage in his veins. He jumped aboard and tugged the reins. The Morgan reared right up. The tenderfoot rocked back and forth, but he never did give up. And as he rocked, he pulled the reins harder than before, not knowing of the danger or the pain that lie in store. Well, that Morgan horse reared up again, but this time didn't stop. She flipped on over backwards, landing right on top of that tenderfoot, who lay there underneath that Morgan mare. All his friends could do, it seemed, was stand around and stare. Well, the horse got up, and so did he. And he says now of that summer, the beer they drank had been misnamed. It should be called Bud Dummer. He's not afraid of horses, and he wants to make that clear, but since that day, he will admit he's pretty skittish around a beer.
This is a good one.
It's a true story.
We like those Morgan horses. We have one on our ranch.
Yeah.
Those are the cavalry horses. Those are the horses used in the cavalry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Great
Big.
horses. Yeah.
I always referred to it as about 37 cents. You got your quarter, and then you.
And we have a quarter horse too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just spending a minute off air talking to a huge fan of our poet laureate Jeff Hildebrand, and was helping her connect with the books that Jeff has published and written, and that you can purchase. You can go to the Amazons, you can go to all better bookstores. But titles like "Riding for the Boss and the Brand," "View from the Pew," which is fantastic, and "Gunsmoke Memories," story behind the story. So that's kind of cool. Some great stuff. So you can find his stuff on Amazon. Just search Jeff Hildebrand, and everything pops up, and everything is also super affordable because we know everybody's worried about rubbing the nickels together right now, and we appreciate it.
And I would really like to thank my wife for calling in.
She says stop at the store on the way home. Milk and eggs is what she needs. And also remember, the storm is coming, so you got to grab all the toilet paper you can grab. Yeah.
If I sell 10 more books, I might be able to buy eggs. She was at a store the other day. It was $12 for a dozen eggs.
Yeah. The only thing worse is actually raising your own chickens, because then you're paying about $30 a carton of eggs with all the food you have to buy them, and
then they go on strike.
That's right. Sometimes they don't always lay eggs, especially in the winter.
Well, I tell you, we're still fighting the fires.
Yes.
Out in California. How much time do we have? We got a couple of minutes?
We could have a couple of minutes.
Yeah, then we got a break, and we'll come back with you too. So we're just going to keep going.
Oh, okay. Well, you want to do the break now?
Yeah, we'll do the break now. We'll continue with 710 KNUS Poet Laureate Jeff Hildebrand as we saunter into a very cold weekend here in Denver, Colorado. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
could just let this go. Welcome back to the
So
Jeff and
appropriate.
Bill Show. That's my kind of country music. I love it. And on Fridays, we like to saunter into the weekend with a little cowboy poetry. Jeff Hildebrand, our resident poet laureate. You know, when you're the resident poet laureate, they give you a little space here where you write your poetry. And
That's right. I have a really short couch in the back
Yes.
where I could sleep, and they bring in food.
And it's not nearly as nice as what Hunter Biden got in his $5 million
Yeah.
in paintings that were unfortunately destroyed in the fire.
I don't know if you caught this yesterday, and on the description that we had for yesterday's hour when we were talking about Hunter Biden and his artwork being lost, inside the description it says that the LA fires have claimed all the extra Hunter Biden artwork, and tens of dollars has been lost.
Can you believe someone loaned him $5 million in exchange for 200 paintings? 200! That guy's painted 200 times. So it must be nice to be an artist. Our artist doesn't get paid nearly as much, but he does give us better quality work. So it's a good deal for us all.
I tried drawing straight lines, and it just didn't work for me. Anyway, with the wildfires in mind, a couple of things for you. There are TV shows and movies about the cowboy way, and I've heard people question if it's relevant today. Have you seen a cowboy lately? Have you really looked around to see who rides to help you out when all the chips are down? Do you recognize the cowboy, not the swagger or the hat, but the cowboy way of helping out when we're in need of that? They're the ones who face down danger when others run away. The ones whose life is on the line protecting us each day. Do you understand the courage that it takes to heed the call and run into a burning building that could kill them all? And yet, each time the call goes out that someone is in danger, these heroes saddle up and ride like modern-day Lone Rangers. They're cowboys on the concrete. When you see one, pray God's grace will surround and will protect them from the dangers that they face. Then thank those first responders for everything they do. They put their safety on the line, protecting me and you.
Oh,
it's a great reminder.
That is really cool.
That the
It is a great
modern day
reminder.
cowboy out there, first responders,
Yeah.
law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics.
Yeah,
They are the ones that ride there.
Yeah, because back in the West, when things were going bad, it was the farmers, the cowboys that would come together because you didn't have a large police force, you didn't have a large hospital, you didn't have a whole bunch of EMTs. That when something in the community went wrong, it was the community that came together, and those were the farmers and the ranchers, the people that pulled together. And that's why you have things like those barn raising parties and stuff like that, because of them being the ones that watched each other's backs and made sure that everything was safe. It's a great reminder.
And I speak from experience. As a former firefighter EMT.
You were?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's, I don't just shovel out the barns. I do other stuff too. Yeah. I spent a number of years as a firefighter EMT volunteer. And there are some very valiant people
now
that I faced.
Jeff Hildebrand, 710 KNUS Poet Laureate. I want to explore that just for a sec. With your experience being a volunteer firefighter and EMT, what's going through your mind with what the firefighters and EMTs in California are dealing with right now? What is that perspective? What are you knowing as far as the challenges and the things they're doing on a daily basis? What's that like? What do you give us some insight?
Well, my first thought is I'm glad I'm old and I don't live in California.
Oh, yeah.
But it's very hard. I know what they're going through. I've hauled those hoses. I did it mostly on flat ground. I can't imagine hauling a hose up a hill, even if there's no water in it. It's so heavy because it drags on the ground. And then just facing the heat and the whole idea of what's coming at you, and all you have is a little spritz of water to try to keep yourself safe.
What's that like? Because you're standing there and you've got the flames, and every inch of your body is telling you that you're in danger. The fight or flight is kicked in. It's telling you, your instincts are, get away from this. This is dangerous. Yet you have to find something inside of you to stand there and be willing to push back. How does it happen?
I'll tell you, it's not what you think. It's pretty much the opposite of what you think, because the people who do that have to be dragged out of the harm's way.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's not that they're standing there quaking in their boots because they're trying to, get something on the fire and then run away. No, somebody has to come and physically tell them, you got to get out of here. I was in buildings where that were on fire, and they came in and said, you have got to get out of here.
Where does that come from? Where do you find that inside of you? How did you get to that position?
I think it's just the desire to want to help.
Oh,
it outweighs the danger in a lot of cases. There are some things that I just don't even want to rehash. But I remember one time where the need to save somebody overcame my fear, but it took a while because this was not a fire. This was acting as an EMT, and a wreck where a van had been hit by a truck crossways. And so it flipped it on its side. And there was a young girl inside who had gotten thrown out. There was a grandparents in the front seat. The grandpa who was driving was out through the window, part way through his driver's window, and his body was twisted, and he was underneath the van. It had rolled over on top of him.
Oh no.
When we pulled up, passersby had stopped and physically lifted that van up.
No way.
And they were holding it. There were a half dozen men who were holding this van up. And I'm looking under that van thinking, I've got to crawl under there and help get this guy out. But I can't do it. I walked around that van trying to find a way into it. Then I saw concrete blocks over to the side, and we started bringing concrete blocks over to put so that if these guys dropped the van, it wouldn't drop all the way down. But the point is, I had to overcome the fear to crawl under there. And I admit there was fear there, but the need to get that guy out of that, from under that van, was the same with everybody who was there. I mean, we just had to do it. I, unfortunately, was the one who had to face my fears and crawl under there and pull him out. But there's just some things that override the fear.
Yeah, there's sometimes you don't know what you're capable of until you find out what you're capable of because you're placed in that situation.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that story that Mr. Rogers would tell, that when he was a kid, he used to get scared hearing the sirens.
Yeah.
And his mom told him, no. Those are the helpers coming.
Right.
That's the sign. And then my wife taught our kids that when you hear sirens, take a moment to pray.
Yeah.
There's something going on that requires emergency response. So, take that moment to pray for whoever's in help. Well, Jeff Hildebrand, thank you so very much for joining us today. Absolutely fantastic poetry. And you can get this on Amazon. You just type in Jeff Hildebrand, right?
And everything pops up. Yeah, it does. Everything goes in there, and you find his books, and they're all very, very affordable. I don't think there's a single one that's over $10 at this point.
There's a little guy. You click on it, and he pops up.
Yep, he does. It's a pop-up book.
Buy this.
Buy this.
Give it as a present.
Yes,
Here.
exactly. Yes. Make Jeff's wife stop telling him, why are you still writing books? Shelby's doing this for a reason. Yes, exactly.
Well, it's been an absolutely fire show. If you missed any of it, definitely go to 710knus.com to download the podcast. Big one, 7 o'clock hour. We heard from Mike Kaufman on this confrontation that took place between him and Tay Anderson. You remember that name from the Denver Public School Board.
He's now living in Aurora.
He's now in Aurora and decides he's going to use all of his free time to harass and heckle the city council members.
Yet again, showing his leadership and good decision making.
Yeah, exactly right. So go to 710knus.com to download the podcast. You can listen to Mike in the 7 o'clock hour, 6 o'clock hour, John Decker, White House correspondent, give us insight into the upcoming inauguration. So Monday, I'll be in Washington, D.C. if I can get out before the storm hits today, but I'll be in Washington, D.C. providing live coverage from the inauguration. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll be at the Heritage Foundation, members of Congress stopping by, leaders. And in fact, the Douglas County coalition of county commissioners are going to be, including George Brockler. The new DA is going to swing by to be on the show as well, live from Washington, D.C. So everything you need on this historic inauguration of Donald John Trump as the 47th president of the United States, you're going to want to hear right here on 710 KNUS. Charlie Kirk, Larry Elder, Hugh Hewitt, all of them here, and then the Jeff and Bill show, plus John Caldera on Monday.
Yeah, so, you are going to get the Colorado experience traveling with Jeff through this journey of the inauguration and what goes on in Washington, D.C. afterwards. He's going to talk to you about rank and file. What's it like showing up there? What's it like sitting there during the inauguration? You are going to get to experience this through his eyes and through the descriptions that he gives us. He's going to be joining us hour by hour throughout Monday and letting us know how things are going down. And then he's going to report about how excited everybody is and how things get going immediately after Donald Trump is sworn into office and what goes on Tuesday and Wednesday. So make sure. And again, Mike Boyle has a party for you just 10 o'clock right after the show on Monday at the View House in Centennial. So come on out there, and it's a day to celebrate.
It is a moment in American history as we return to freedom and to faith and to family and to all the good stuff. So celebrate with 710 KNUS. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader. Who are we? You know, we are 710 KNUS.